Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 45 of Press YYZ, your favorite Canadian gaming podcast. You can watch the show live on twitch.tv/PressYYZ every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, or listen to it on your own time on podcast services like iTunes, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, and Spotify. We appreciate however you choose to support the show, including subscribing to us on Twitch using that free sub that comes with Amazon Prime. But if you don't have any loonies to toss our way, no big deal. We'll be here no matter what. This episode will all be about Fortnite Frenzy, some studio shuffling, and predicting the Game Awards. I'm the head of the table this evening, Nathan McInerney, and this week I'm joined by AJ Frazier.
AJ, how's it going? I'm doing good. How are you doing, Nathan?
I'm doing pretty good. I see you're in the Christmas spirit as well.
Absolutely.
Then we've got the Grinch of the podcast, Mitch George.
Are we talking Christmas?
Well, yeah, we're getting close, Mitch.
Oh, shit.
Because we talking Christmas and we talking bug snacks, baby.
Hell yeah.
I thought you didn't have one. This bit worked much better before. Lame. We're also joined by Alex Kozina. Cozy, how are you doing?
Hey, everybody. I'm sad.
Oh.
What happened?
Well, no, it's just you start up a normal episode of Press YYZ and it's like, oh man, Pretzel Rocks just got an update and you have to delete the old app. Also, all the sound settings on your computer are completely borked and you still don't quite know how to get them back to normal, and you're going to have to look into that after the podcast. Also, Discord just had an update, and now whenever you go into a video call with a bunch of people, if you stream your screen, which I typically do when we do episodes, it now appears at the top of all of our individual screens rather than right next to mine, which is how it appeared in the past, which means that I have to go into OBS and reset all the previous layout settings that I previously had. It's like, you know, I feel like a couple of weeks ago, I was like, all right, I feel like I've gotten this podcast to a pretty good place where I can just coast and not have to change up everything on a weekly basis. And now it's like, nah, you got to go back to the drawing board and reset everything. It's like, fuck, man. All right, introduce the next person.
All right. Oh, Cozy, that's terrible. I'm sorry.
It's fine. I got my
finally
Xbox
we have
Series
Alex
X from Walmart, so I'm in.
Hi, everybody. It's my turn to talk.
Can you follow up that, Alex?
Wait, me? Oh, sounds like somebody's sure being a Grinch today, or a Scrooge. Okay. Who's the mean guy who doesn't like Christmas?
Both of them.
Cozy.
They're both. Scrooge is the one from the Christmas store.
My current disappointment and sadness has nothing to do with Christmas
Carol.
Guys.
Christmas Carol, thank you. Christmas Story is the BB gun one.
I was watching Christmas Carol last night, actually, the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh, that's my favorite version.
It's so good. I'm in the spirit, baby. We got the Pokemon holiday sweater going. We ready to rock.
Yep. I apologize. My sweater has bells on it, so if you hear bells ringing, that's me in the background. So
if your mic can pick up bells ringing from your sweater, that's a pretty good mic.
My sweater just has these 8-bit looking Santas all over it. I thought that was appropriate.
Excellent. Well, we're all in the Christmas spirit as we get close to Christmas. So, but let's talk about Christmas is so far away. So let's talk about what's going on right now. AJ, tell me what's going on in your life. What are you playing or watching?
Oh man. What? Okay. So this weekend, this past weekend, there was a Formula One race.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Tell me about this, because I saw something on Twitter and I couldn't find video of it. So tell me what happened.
Yeah, so something like this hasn't happened in a long time. The improvements that they've made to Formula One racing cars and whatnot have greatly improved the survivability of the drivers and everything. And they were put to the test this weekend as F1 driver with 3 races left before he I think he's retiring, or he's leaving F1 for whatever reason. 3 races left in the season and whatnot, and he is decide what happened was he essentially crashed, and you don't see it very often anymore, but it was a big fireball-like crash. The F1 car got torn in half. The driver's name is Roman Grosjean, and he survived. And it was like there's exciting racing where somebody skids off a track and like, oh, they didn't get to finish because they broke their car. Oh well. But then there's these giant fireballs where everybody barely gets away with their lives and whatnot. Yeah. So, it was fairly exciting to watch that. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have ever really watched much F1. It's not necessarily into sports, but the sports.
It was a terrifying event to see. Like, I saw the video after the fact.
Yeah.
Oh my! Like that was nightmare fuel. What happened to that guy? It was awful.
But he did survive.
He did absolutely survive.
Barely a scratch.
Really? Okay.
He had some burns on his wrists, his hands and wrists and stuff. And other than that, I think it sounds like he's going to try and come back into it for the last race of the season, which would also have been his normal last race. So, it was scary and it was exciting, and I'm glad that in such a dangerous sport, like, you forget that you're putting you're literally putting your life on the line in a sport like that, especially a motorsport like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was exciting to see for sure.
All right. Well, it's nice to see exciting explosions of cars every once in a while, as long as everybody survives.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Been playing anything special this week?
Yeah, actually, so last week there was a deal across all platforms where Jedi Fallen Order was on sale.
So you paid full price for it on Stadia, right?
Full price? No, it was actually on discount there, and I got an extra $10 off.
Oh god damn! You actually bought it on Stadia?
Yeah, I bought it on Stadia.
Jeez.
Wow!
Oh my god!
Yeah, I don't know about that necessarily, but you know,
you're the only one who's buying games on that platform. How are you not committed?
Well, it's funny.
I buy all my games there.
So there's a friend of ours, a friend of the show, Ant, who has also become a Stadia convert after getting a free Chromecast in the mail. He's playing everything there. He loves it, and I think he's a crazy person, but it's fine.
He's been serious about that? I thought he was joking.
No, he was playing Hitman today. I was very worried for his sanity.
Like, it works. I was actually impressed with mine once I got it. I just can't imagine investing in the ecosystem the way it stands.
Yeah,
so
I'm kind of in the same boat.
Yeah, I can totally understand that, and I see that point of view. But I mean, if it helps at all, which it won't, I'm not getting any sort of latency in terms of playability of it. The game has been completely and totally playable, just like on any other platform or whatnot. So maybe the because it is run on servers and stuff, maybe the load times are a little faster or something like that. But they've also, I know with some previous games like Destiny, they turned the graphics settings down for some reason just to get it to run properly, and they never turn those back up. So I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, I'm enjoying it. I think I made the mistake when I first started the game that I made the mistake of trying to play it on what is the hard difficulty, or Jedi Master, if you will, and I'm just not good at that. It's really kind of frustrating in terms of the game itself, and I think what it did is kind of made me notice more about what I kind of don't like about the gameplay specifically, in that like a, say, Souls game where you have to go save at a bonfire or something like that, and when you go and do that, all the enemies respawn. That is one aspect of it that is incredibly frustrating, because I could defeat one enemy, turn a corner, and get completely brutalized by another enemy, and then respawn, and then everybody's back in a way that doesn't lend itself to the Star Wars super powerful fantasy, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
Cozy, you played it earlier this year. How do you feel about that?
I mean, personally, I thought that your character was represented with a certain level of power in that game that I thought was appropriate to kind of where he was at. I mean, with any Star Wars game, you need to kind of make concessions so that it makes for an entertaining experience, and so that you're not just slashing anything that you come across in half with your lightsaber. And I thought it was acceptable for me personally.
Yeah,
I don't really have much to say in that regard.
Somebody else was going to say something. Sorry. No. No. It's kind of hard for me to pinpoint exactly what. I'm enjoying the story, and when my hands do what they're supposed to, and you land that reflect of the blaster bolt or something, it does work, and it does feel good in that sense. But it's I don't know. I've already turned it down to the normal difficulty, and while it technically has increased my survivability, what I've noticed is it's made the enemies less aggressive in a way that is almost immersion breaking now. In one of the, I'll just say, in the ice cave portion of one of the planets, there's I forget what they're called, these giant kind of snow monster like things, and they this thing tore me apart so much, and then now it's just sort of standing there, not attacking me all the time, and in a way that's kind of immersion breaking from what I was playing before.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just me though. But yeah, I'm having fun with it. Will I see it to the end? I don't know, because Cyberpunk is out next week, so we'll see what happens.
You're damn right it is.
Hell yeah.
I will say,
what TJ fucking says. Oh my god, as of today, they dropped the photo mode video teaser for Cyberpunk, and that is making my mind race of all the possibilities, because it looks super in depth. I'm not going to go into Cyberpunk, but this is a segue for me, because I've been playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I've been using the photo mode on that, and I've been having an absolute ball with it. I'm starting to kind of run into my Ubisoft fatigue when it comes to their games, when it comes to Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I'm about 30 hours in at this point, and it's starting to kind of be very, very repetitive, like a lot of Ubisoft games are. But I'm invested in it more than I was with Watch Dogs, because the characters are absolutely phenomenal. I think Ivor is one of the better protagonists in Assassin's Creed. He's not the best, but I really do like Ivor a lot. Maybe not as much as Cassandra or Ezio, but I think he is pretty high tier. We'd have to ask somebody like Private Jeebus and what he thinks as the Assassin's Creed expert. But I'm really liking Ivor. And also, just the photo mode in the game is it's not as in-depth as I'd like it to be. As well, the animations in that game are very janky, so to get a good photo is a little difficult. But if you go to my Twitter, I have a lot of examples of the types of photos that I've been taking in it, and I've been posting a lot, and I've just been having it's honestly one of the biggest things that's been keeping me coming back, is just what is the next environment that I'm going to be in that I can just start taking photos in, because I reached a place in the game, no spoilers, but I was like, oh, this is really cool. Time to just explore it in the photo mode. And oh my god, that game at 4K is so detailed. it's kind of crazy. Like it's a very, very good looking game, and I don't know if I would I don't know if I said this last week, but I don't know if I'd recommend the game full price. But when it's at a price that you feel confident in paying for it, I think it is worth playing, at least to experience a lot of the story of it. Because I think Valhalla is, it's definitely. I think at this point I can definitively say Odyssey is better, but I really do like Valhalla a lot, and the photo mode is great. Please check out my Twitter for all my amazing photos.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke with TJ about this. AC is still his game of the year, and he's like 70 hours in, I think, and is only 30% of the way through the campaign.
Wow.
So, like, I need to get to this game as well, but probably won't until.
Yeah.
I got some things I need to play first, and then I'll get there. Sorry, 40 hours, and he's 30% through. I'm misremembering.
How am I so close to catching up to you? Come on, TJ, you gotta step your game up. Sorry, go ahead.
I want to play this game, but I haven't finished Odyssey yet, and I think I want to finish Odyssey first. So I'll probably just wait for a sale for whenever the really expensive version, when all the DLC is out. To get
honestly,
I've got Odyssey. I've got Odyssey physical, and I'm probably never going to go back to it. So I will probably just boot up AC once I get through. I got a couple of games. So I was streaming the other night, and I got two. I didn't realize that I should turn off Redemption for what should I play next. So I now have to play Gato Roboto and Alan Wake back to back on stream. So look forward to hearing about those in the next couple of weeks.
Very excited to hear your thoughts on Alan Wake. But yeah,
I've heard good things about Gato Roboto.
Nathan, I would definitely suggest doing that, especially because I think the gear progression is very weird, where you just kind of don't get a lot of new gear, so you're kind of stuck the way you look for a long time. So if you get the whatever Ultimate Edition with all the DLC, you'll get all the really cool looking armor and stuff, and so you won't look as sort of scrubby as like my Ivor. You'll just look like a really badass. I'm not gonna lie, I've looked at the Ubisoft store in the game. I haven't bought anything. I'm not going to, but I'm like, I just really want to look good. But like, getting gear is really, they really halted the progression, where it felt like an Odyssey. You just like would get new things all the time, where they really, really, really halted that a lot, which I think is an interesting choice for them. I don't think I like it as much. I actually kind of liked the having to constantly cycle through new gear. I don't know. It's just the way that they change the upgrade systems and stuff, but that's kind of getting into the nitty gritty of it. I think I'm done. Yeah.
I don't know. I like that about Odyssey. Like my Cassandra constantly looked different every single little bit. I could keep making her look better and better. So
I can't remember if they did it in Odyssey, but I actually discovered a thing where if you can get certain pieces of gear, but you can hide every piece of gear that you have equipped. I know you could do that with the helmet in Odyssey, but I couldn't remember if you did it with all the other pieces.
Oh, I don't know.
So, but yeah, like, because it's, the Vikings are like, you get tattoos, and you can get like, you can buy new tattoos in the game. And so it's like, if you want to show off the way your Ivor looks, you can like hide the chest gear that you have. And then, you can show off, your really badass rune tattoos that you've got.
I know there was, at least in Odyssey, you could change change the look of your gear to match whatever it is you were going for. Like you could reapply certain stats to different gear items, so you'd have like the same set and all that stuff. Like you can move it around regardless of the cosmetic on the gear, which I don't know if they brought that over here, but that's always something that is a welcome addition to these kind of games.
Yes, every game needs to do that. I want to look good first.
I should get back on Odyssey, because all this talk about Assassin's Creed is making me lorn for it.
Both are genuinely great games, I can say for certain.
All right, sweet. Well, that's exciting. Cozy, why don't you talk to me about them bug snacks? You and Mitch can tag team on that one.
So,
we can, Doggy Dog.
Both basically decided to play up a little game by the name of Bug Snacks over the course of the past couple of weeks. I platinumed it. Mitch, I saw that you went live with a Twitch stream in which you said you were going to platinum it, but I actually did not see to the end if you did platinum it. Did you platinum it?
I did say I was going to platinum it, and it took me roughly an hour and a half in that last stream, but I got that platinum.
All right. Well, I'm really happy to hear it.
I love this game.
Yeah, this game is
I hate
very,
the
very
last
good.
mission, but I love this game.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. To start off with the
No
positives,
spoilers, obviously.
I mean,
Yeah, let's not spoil the last mission.
the thing about this game is, to me, Bugsnax is like it is to like PlayStation 2, GameCube era platformers what like Shovel Knight was to kind of NES era platformers, where I feel like when Shovel Knight came out, everybody was like, oh man, this is a game that takes everything that was great about Zelda 2, everything that was great about DuckTales, Mega Man, etc., and creates an experience that is kind of even better than those old retro classics. And I feel like this game is the same thing in that it takes kind of what was good about Mario Sunshine, about Jak and Daxter, about a bunch of other like platformers from that particular era, specifically like the kind of weirder-ish platformers, and makes an experience that I think it learns from those games' strengths and honestly offers a better time than them. You know, the kind of like main brunt of the experience, which is, you know, figuring out how to trap all of the various Bugsnax using your slowly increasing like inventory of different traps and whatnot, is really, really cool. And it does this great thing where like there are many Bugsnax that you can theoretically figure out how to capture very early on if you just are creative enough, but eventually the more you progress, you can just get them very easily later on once you've kind of gotten a lot of the more higher tier tech, if you're not somebody who's in very kind of a creative thinking mode.
Yeah, there was one instance actually, the stream you're showing that I did on screen right now on the Twitch stream, and there was a couple people in the chat like, oh, you have to do this thing to get this thing to catch this thing, and I did something totally different of just having another Bugsnax run into the thing I needed to open to get the thing, and it was like, oh, we were all surprised, like, oh, we didn't think that would work, and it totally worked. So there's lots of interesting little puzzle solving bits like that. Like I said, there's some bits at the end that are a little lacking, but overall I think the story is really well done. I think what they tried to accomplish here, they did. I think the designs are great. It evokes things like Pokemon Snap, the idea of catching them all, which is the other reason why I'm wearing my Pokemon Christmas sweater or holiday sweater. It really does evoke those feelings, and you know how much I love Pokemon, so it felt great to get in there.
Wait, you like Pokemon?
A little bit.
Yeah,
we weren't talking about me wanting to buy a $100 Pokeball before this podcast. No.
Well, we might talk about that later in the podcast.
We're going to talk about it in a bit. Something I really do enjoy, actually, though, is I picked up the I Am 8-Bit vinyl pressing of the single It's Bugsnax by Kira Benito. Mm-hmm. And the sleeve is Scratch and Sniff. It smells like strawberries. Nice. And I'll take it out just to show it off to you guys. I've been showing this off on like every Bugsnax stream, just be like, look, this is amazing. And it's a red print, and since it's only the one track on the B side, since there's nothing printed there, it's just like strawberry, like the white bits from a strawberry. And AJ is holding up both of his copies of it.
What do you do?
It's great. Wow. I love the game. I love the aesthetic. I love the writing. The voice actors did a phenomenal job with all of these characters.
Yeah.
By the end of it, you really do feel for all of them. And I wasn't expecting that, because you've got characters in the game like Beffica, who is literally just a gossip, who I hated at the beginning. And you really do grow to like some of these characters.
I don't know if I felt for her necessarily, but I mean, I will say I did definitely become
you're a little more understanding of the situation by the end of the game than you were when you first encounter some of these, you know, stereotypical, like there's the gym bro, there's the gossip, there's the farmer. There's a few different stereotypes that are in there that do kind of fall by the wayside.
For those
the way the game handles relationships is really progressive.
I mean, for those who have not at all played this game, like this game basically kind of has almost a Persona-esque system of getting to know each of the game's characters, where you have an initial mission in which you're introduced to them, and through hook or crook, you eventually manage to get them back to the game's central hub. And then once they're in the central hub, they'll have like a series of missions that kind of further deepen their past and your relationship with them. It's that, as Mitch said,
and then you feed them all Bugsnax and change the way they look as a human being. And there are really interesting undertones of like, these things are like super addictive. So it gets me, thinking about like drug pathology and addiction, and it's got some really interesting themes that you wouldn't expect from something that's just, cutesy catch all the creatures game.
E for everybody.
I wouldn't say that by the end of it. Jesus Christ.
All right. Well, I'm excited to get further into Bug Snacks. What's preventing me from doing that is playing Sackboy.
I do want to. Can I ask one more thing of Cozy before we move on from Bug Snacks?
My apologies. Yes, go ahead.
Cozy, favorite Bug Snack?
Bunger.
I mean, those are the problem with the bungers is that they're the ones that you remember the most just because of how freaking annoying
Bunger.
They basically just constantly they push themselves onto you whether you want them or not. I will say, in general, I appreciate how surprisingly delicious all the bug snacks in the game look. I feel like there's a alternate universe Earth 2 version of this game where Young Horses made all the bug snacks look kind of unappealing and a little bit weird. And instead, they went with the route of actually making them look real delicious and tasty. I don't know.
Okay.
Sorry for that.
I don't know.
Out of an answer.
That was a long lead up to no answer.
AJ was on the point. Bunger is best bug snack. We can move on.
Bunger.
Isn't Strawby the best one?
Strabby is nice. But my favorite is the Bunger.
All right.
So I gotta play this game, I guess.
It's free.
I mean, I have
it free on PlayStation Plus until January 5th.
So download it if you haven't downloaded it. Okay, so jumping back, so I'm working on the Sackboy Platinum. I'm really enjoying Sackboy. Each level you have to do, you have to find all the costume pieces, you have to get all the Dreamer orbs, you have to get through without dying, and you have to get through so many score as you're playing the level. But this, Cozy's loaded up a video here. This is a video I took when I got to the end of the level without dying, and then I got too far ahead of the screen and landed on the screen, floated up on top of it, and it flung me up into the air and killed me.
What a piss off. Holy shit.
I just kind of disappear off the top of the screen, and then I'm like,
oh my God. That's heartbreaking. Holy shit.
So thankfully I was able to do it on my next run. It wasn't like it was terribly bad, but I was talking to my wife on the phone and while I'm doing it. And so all of a sudden I die and I'm like, fuck you. And she's like, what? And I'm like,
your response of her just saying what is so indicative of your relationship of just like, oh, what is it now? Okay, what do you got to complain about? It's not like, excuse me? It's no, what now?
Yes.
Yep.
So, and it's funny because that got caught on the audio when I did the video. So,
great.
Our conversation about me trying to explain to her about what happened to me in the game. I just thought that was a funny note. But I'm about halfway through getting through the levels. I still need to see if I can work with Mitch to see if we can get that share play working.
It is going to happen, I swear. We'll do it right after the show.
Yeah, maybe a bit later after the show. We'll see.
Maybe.
If not tomorrow, for sure.
Yes.
Because I just want to see if the share play works. I'm very curious about that. And how effective it is. Also, I've upgraded my internet speed, so now I have 300 megabits per second versus my 40 I was getting before. So I was downloading games.
How did you go all digital on 40 megabits per second?
I don't know. It just worked.
That's impressive.
Sheer fucking will.
Basically.
It's not like I'm streaming it. They just download. And I never had issues with download time, although I downloaded Fortnite before the podcast, which we'll talk about in a bit.
But why?
Because
we'll
maybe
in a bit. I know.
Yeah, I know. But I got the notification to my phone saying it was done, ready to play, like much quicker than I thought I would. So I was kind of impressed by that. So anyways, so that's kind of my week. Alex, why do you it's getting cold outside, so why don't you tell me about Cold War?
Well, the Cold War was the kind of the conflict between the USSR and the United States, where they were in a war that wasn't actually happening, but it was kind of happening behind the scenes. Okay, I was talking about
Took place in the winter, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
All
It's very cold.
Why
it takes
should I
place in
play it?
Russia, and Russia is always cold.
Yeah, no, it's the
Yeah,
winter
exactly.
landmass, so that makes sense.
But so on Sunday, I decided to sit down and play Black Ops Cold War all the way through. It's not a very long game, so I was like, I'm just going to do this in one sitting. And as somebody who mostly plays Call of Duty for the campaign alone, I, dip my toe in multiplayer. I played a little bit of zombies, but for the most part, I'm like, I have this brand new machine. I want to play a first-person shooter because I feel like first-person shooters are kind of that, and racing games are like the two types of games that really like show the tech off a little bit better.
That's completely fair.
Yeah, and so I was like, you know what? Call of Duty is the first-person shooter that is available on the Xbox Series X, so I'm going to get it on that. And playing through the campaign, it's a really good Call of Duty campaign. Like, it's definitely one of my favorites. Like, there's some really, it really subverts a lot of the generic mission structure that you get from some Call of Duty campaigns. It's not just run here, shoot that, go here, shoot that. There's some like genuine like RPG, like almost like there's one mission that straight up could be from an Arcane game. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like,
Really?
yeah, it's really, really cool. Like, you get like, you have an objective, and you can't pick up a gun and shoot people. You have to go through the environment and find a way to get to this objective. And yeah, I don't want to spoil it for anybody because I know Jeebus is still playing through the campaign. There's one mission that is like, it is the Stanley Parable, but in Call of Duty. And it is one of the coolest missions in any Call of Duty game. It rivals Titanfall 2's Effect and Cause as best first-person shooter missions, period.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool. I wish I could go into more detail in explaining why, because it's just so cool. But yeah, those are kind of like the two things. Is like, one mission could be from an Arcane game, the other one is Stanley Parable, but in Call of Duty. And it's really great. If you own Black Ops Cold War for the multiplayer alone, sit down for an afternoon and just play through the campaign because it's phenomenal. It's definitely one of my favorites.
I really kind of wish they'd. Sorry, go ahead, Mitch.
I was going to say, I just creeped the IMDb page for Cold War, and the fact that Creed Bratton of The Office is one of the voice actors. I am 100% into this game now. Yes.
Oh my God!
From The Office is in this game.
Creed is fantastic. He's my favorite, probably Scranton Strangler.
Okay. I highly, highly recommend Black Ops Cold War's campaign.
Sweet.
I don't think it's worth going out of your way to buy the game for it, but if you already own it, or if you were even remotely interested in like the multiplayer and zombies, then definitely play it.
I wish the single player was available on its own for people that aren't going to invest in the multiplayer. That being said, almost every Call of Duty game has been on PS Plus at some point.
Yeah.
So I expect the same for this down the line. So maybe that's where I'll give it a try.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I'm expecting, because like my sister and I have a long-standing tradition of playing these campaigns, or the multiplayer at least, together. And as soon as I got the PS5, her first question was, so is there a Call of Duty for it? So I am fully expecting, now that I have the digital PS5, a PSN gift card from her that on the back just has a sticky saying, use this on Call of Duty, you asshole. And then we'll be good to go.
Sweet.
Because it's crossplay. So even Alex and I, being on different console families, can still play together.
Yeah.
Now, Alex,
about that. Mm-hmm.
Do you regret, Greg, getting on the Series X versus the PS5 from the DualSense?
DualSense, not really, because I feel like yes, it's very cool that every gun feels different, but in multiplayer, I would definitely have turned that off. Like, without a doubt, because like it would just be distracting and a disadvantage, especially since it's crossplay and you're playing with people who don't have it on just PlayStation 5.
That's fair, I guess. Yeah.
I will say I booted up one of the PlayStation Plus games that is free for the month. Worms something.
Oh, Worms Rumble.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Rumble,
Worms Rumble,
Arena,
PS4
whatever it is.
plus PS5.
Yeah, and it has a PS5 version, and every gun does feel different in that game. And I tried it. I'm like, oh, this is great. And then I realized it is a cross-play battle royale. I'm like, oh, I have to turn this off. For the exact same reason.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. At some point, I want to try Worms and see if it's any good.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. So we were just talking about playing games on the Xbox Series X. Cozy, you've had a chance to play your new Xbox Series X, because if I remember last week, we got the update. You just got your Series X. Is that correct?
No, last week I was complaining about the fact that my Walmart had not yet relinquished my Series X.
That's right. That's right. So you got it this week during the week.
Yes, it took quite a bit of effort. Well, no, actually, I just called up the store again and they finally relinquished it. And I finally got my Series X. And so far, to be honest, I've actually not been playing it nearly as much as I wish I was playing it. And that's in large part because I'm actually currently pretty deep at work on my next video game in Core. As you all know, I started making games in Core starting in April this year, and I'm currently working on a new game for the Core Survival Framework Challenge. Basically, Core puts out these new frameworks from time to time that make it easier to make games in certain genres. So they put out like an RPG framework a few months ago that makes it easier to make RPGs. They recently put out a survival game framework, and they basically said, all right, we have a new contest, use the survival game framework to make a original, unique little survival game, and we will give you cash money if you think that you're hot shit.
I have a quick question.
Yeah,
Cozy, what drives you to just consistently make all these Core games? It's just a genuine. It's just like an overall genuine curiosity, right? Because you always bring them to the show, right? And they're always super cool, and you always invest a lot of time in them. What's driving you to do that? Like, is there just like some creative? Is that just your current creative outlet, or is it like, do you have? I don't know where I'm going with that. It's just like, where do you find the time to do all this, really?
There are a bunch of different factors. I would be lying if I said that part of me wants to impress my parents. My parents, enjoy what I do here on Twitch, podcasting and playing games, but I think that they have this sort of portion of them that always wishes for me to kind of like, get a real legitimate money earning job, and me working on these games is a way to kind of abate their frustrations and show them, hey, I'm making cool, neat little stuff. More than that, though, like for myself personally, like obviously I have a lot of fun doing Press YYZ, but it feels a little bit unfair for me personally to talk about games and not actually be doing anything more creative than just that. Me actually, making games, me actually engaging in the creative process and, understanding the kind of trials and tribulations that actual video game developers go through is my way of sort of quote unquote atoning for kind of talking about them on something like this. And, more than that, because I realize that both those explanations are a little bit, cynical / kind of sad, but like, I've legitimately had a lot of fun making these games. I've been pretty pleased with the results of the past few I've made, particularly The Bread Rises, which is the last game I made in Core. And I want to make things that make myself happy and potentially make the people that play them happy as well.
Absolutely.
That's awesome, dude.
Awesome.
Yeah. But anyways, all that to say, I've been working on a game called Equilibrium for the Core Survival Game Jam. It'll be ready in a couple of weeks, and that because I've been working on it, I've not had as much time to play on my Xbox Series X as I was hoping for. With the help of some of you guys from the Kind of Funny Toronto Discord server, I figured out what games I ought to be downloading, and I went ahead and downloaded them. And so far, the only game I've played at all has been Ori and the Blind Forest, and I am enjoying it quite a bit, but I have not gotten too far into it, so I'm not really at a point where I feel like I can give a sweeping indictment of the game's strengths or weaknesses.
Okay. That's awesome. That was a good pregnant pause.
No,
Yeah, you nailed it.
Pregnant pause there.
But no, Ori's on my. I've played it a bit on my computer. I really enjoyed it. I'm very. It probably looks stunning on the Series X.
Yeah.
I'm a little
Having
jealous.
played it on the Switch, I'm so jealous you're playing that on a big boy console.
Mm-hmm. Maybe the Switch will be a big boy console one day.
Maybe one day it'll grow into its own. Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe it'll become professional.
Before we jump into the news, Mitch, is there anything you need to plug?
I could do it now or I could do it at the end, but if you're giving me time now, I will say I have been working with Josh Biddick, who is a really good friend. He's pretty well known in the Kind of Funny community, and he runs a podcast about the Kind of Funny Up and Comer program. Now, I in no way, shape, or form expect to be anywhere near this, but I just wanted to have the time to sit down and chat with him. And we went through a death in his family, a COVID scare, and him almost losing everything with a hard drive getting wiped. But by some miracle, this show did get out, and I'm so glad I got to sit down, chat with him about this show, chat with him about Kind of Funny Toronto, which Nathan, you and I started together, and just kind of have fun. And it was a blast. So if you're at all looking for that, I've retweeted it. It's out there. The Up and Comer podcast, anywhere you find podcasts. It was so fun, and I'm so glad Josh had me on his show, and I really want to get him on this one.
Hey, Josh, when you want me, give me a call.
Just tweet him, dude. He's pretty receptive.
All right. Okay, so with that, let's move on to the news, because we got a few things to talk about, and we got a few watch all the things to briefly discuss. But the first thing, it looks like a god is coming to Fortnite. I guess there's already been gods from the Marvel universe, hasn't there?
Oh.
It's not Thor. It's Kratos, and this has pretty much been confirmed at this point, I believe. But Kratos,
more or less, yeah.
And the Mandalorian's there too.
Oh yeah, I want to talk about all things Fortnite right now, and that's as someone who doesn't play Fortnite. What the hell is up with Fortnite?
They have money.
So
yeah,
I downloaded Fortnite as mentioned because I feel like with everybody talking about it and what they were doing, maybe I should go check it out.
No. Don't do it.
Mitch, maybe you should check it out with me.
It is sad that at this point we've had a better Marvel Universe crossover event in Fortnite this year than in Square's Marvel's Avengers. The hell?
Are you really surprised though?
Nathan,
Yes.
Nathan, you know how in Animal Crossing you can collect a bunch of different kinds of fish and like there's rarer ones and stuff like that? You can do that in Fortnite too.
Really?
Don't tell him that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, and you can it checks off a list of like, hey, you caught this one, right? And you try and catch the biggest one of that species that you can, and it's a whole. I have no idea what the fuck Fortnite is anymore.
I do not like the idea of seasonal content. So just to give everyone a refresher, this past Tuesday, the previous season ended with an event where Galactus was trying to eat the world. So Tony Stark used a time machine to create tons of duplicates of the battle bus, filled them with explosives, and had everyone fly their battle bus into the mouth of Galactus to end his reign on the world. And this is the only game in which you can have a squad made up of Iron Man, Wolverine, Batman, and the goddamn Mandalorian. This is a better crossover than any other crossover in video game history. And yes, it includes Kingdom Hearts.
This is the new Smash Brothers.
Because I was going to say, Mitch, it's really cool. It's really cool to see Kratos and Mando available to play in this game. But I'm still waiting on Link and Samus and all the other Nintendo characters to be made available via crossover. Fortnite is on the Nintendo Switch, unlike some of the other battle royales which are not coming or still on their way. So it's entirely a possibility, and it's not happening yet. So
it's inevitable at this point.
Go ahead, Alex.
Okay, I was just gonna kind of like, I just have like a basic question. I don't know if anyone's gonna have the answer to this. Since Kratos is all but confirmed, and Fortnite is a cross-progression game, can you play Kratos on an Xbox?
I'm going to say no, but you can probably see Kratos in the game because it's cross-play.
I'm going to assume that it is a skin that is exclusive to the PlayStation console.
Yeah.
And if you're playing in a lobby or in a world with someone who is using that skin, you will just see some generic-ass skin.
Yeah, so
what happened with Rocket League with the Mario and Samus crossover they did when that came out on the Switch. On other consoles, you just saw it as a basic skin.
In PUBG, when that came out on Stadia, there was Stadia like exclusive branded costume and parachute and shit like that. Apparently, nobody else on any other system when it did crossplay could see that. It just other Stadia people could. That was it. So
it's kind of disappointing.
I think similarly in the past, there's been like PlayStation Plus exclusive gear that would only show up cosmetically for those playing on PlayStation systems.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Yeah. Okay. Secondary question: do you think this will be free to people who have PS Plus?
Yes. I think they'd be stupid not to. I think they announced this at the Game Awards, and I think it's free as of next Thursday.
Now, do you think with that, do we see God of War Untitled sequel alongside this?
No, this is all you're getting of God of War at the Game Awards.
Lame.
Okay, we should hold that.
We'll get into God of War or Game Awards predictions.
We will hold it.
Fair enough.
holding it.
Let's hold that. So this is exciting. I'm going to download Fortnite. If somebody wants to shepherd me through how to play Fortnite, because I think I tried it once very early on and deleted it because I hated the building stuff. But Mitch, I think
God no! I want to stay away from this thing like a 100-foot pole.
Yeah.
So
Mitch would be on the street if he got into this.
It's still.
It's not that I would be on the street. I don't enjoy battle royales. Cozy tried to shepherd us through Apex, and I had a good time. I am not going back to Apex.
I'd like to mention you did like Fall Guys.
That's not the same thing.
It's a battle
royale shooter. Like I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm too old for Fortnite.
Nathan, if you get the hankering to go to Fortnite and you really need somebody else to do it with you, I will do it with you. I only played Fortnite once. I was dropped into the map and I actually won on my first attempt. But I don't know, when they drop you into your first game of Fortnite, are you put up against a bunch of bots?
Yes.
Okay. That's why.
Bring back Radical Heights.
We'll get Cliffy B on the show and we'll ask him why he can't.
Yeah, bring it back.
Okay,
Cliff, if you're watching this,
if you're watching this, I love you.
Also, Halo devs, make that battle royale, make it ODSTs.
Let's move on.
Okay, so Fortnite was a success that came out of nowhere because nobody thought the original Fortnite was going to do well. Let's talk about another success that came out of nowhere: the Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Last movie I saw in theaters with Alex.
Yeah.
So
I still haven't seen it.
Still depressing.
I watched it with my boys, I want to say 2 or 3 months ago, and it's actually good. Which
I really enjoyed it. I'm not going to lie.
It's the best thing that stars Sonic because I think I've said this before. Every Sonic game is trash except Sonic Racing. And that's the best
thing Jim Carrey has done in years.
So this is actually a good thing that uses Sonic, and I just couldn't believe that it actually turned out to be good and that Jim Carrey was good. And who voices Sonic again?
Ben Schwartz.
Ben Schwartz, thank you. He did the voice of that little robot in Star Wars. What's that robot's name? BB-8.
BB-8?
Did he actually?
Dio?
So
are we talking about
he
Dio?
did so
no Dio was J.J. Abrams.
Oh really?
So BB-8, Ben Schwartz voiced all the dialogue, and then Bill Hader then turned it into the beeps based on his dialogue.
What the hell? This is still the original. The first Sonic is probably the best thing that Jim Carrey has done film-wise since, God, I don't even know when. When's the last time he was in a good film?
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Oh, I was going to say that too.
Yeah, I was going to say like early 2000s where he did that. He did Bruce Almighty. He did The Grinch.
Oh, that's not
he
good,
kind of fell off a cliff for the last.
It's good. It's fine. Him as the Grinch is great.
So yeah, and there's a bit of
not as good as Cumberbatch's though. This is a Cumberbatch Grinch household right here.
All right.
So
no comment.
All right. But this is from James Batchelor at gamesindustry.biz. I want to make
Nathan,
sure.
I don't want to interrupt you, but he also appeared in Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events as Count Olaf.
That was also a very good movie.
Yeah.
It was not a good movie. The series on Netflix was better. Let's move on.
I was 13. It was a good movie.
I thought it was a solid adaptation. Sorry.
So-
Nathan.
All right.
I apologize.
Okay, let's jump back into the Sonic news here. So the production on the sequel to Sonic the Hedgehog movie is apparently going to begin in a few months. It's codenamed Emerald Hill, which is fitting, and it's going to begin filming March 15th, 2021. Realistically, we don't see this, for like 2 or 3 years?
Maybe,
you gotta see-
maybe
yeah, you're probably looking at summer 2022 at the earliest.
Yes. Now, do you think that we'd be seeing a sequel if they didn't fix how Sonic looked?
No,
Or do you think the script would have sat on its own?
that original Sonic design was an abomination, and thank God they changed
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
The one
been
good
better if
thing
we
that
got
came
the
out of that
other
Sonic design is Corridor Crew started doing their videos in which they react to great and bad CG. So I'm thankful for
Okay.
that.
So not a lot to say here, but
Canadian production, which is nice.
Yeah. Well, a lot of movies are shot in Canada. That's not
No.
hugely
It's just nice to shout it out because we are the leading video game Canadian podcast hosted by 5 white guys, 4 of which have beards and 3 of which are Alex.
It's true. That is a valid stat for our
Wow.
podcast.
I think that is a valid stat.
Yes, that is a very valid stat. So no, it's exciting. It's probably up there with Detective Pikachu and best video game movies, that and Street Fighter.
What a bar.
So
Detective Pikachu was legitimately good. Ryan Reynolds did a great job.
so good.
I haven't
It's
watched
so
it yet.
good. Oh
You
my
should
god!
definitely watch that
Fucking watch.
over the holidays as well.
I enjoyed
And I
it.
plan on watching Sonic with my wife because she hasn't seen it yet, and we'll compare notes.
we watched it as a family. My wife liked it, so she thought it was quite fun. So, all right, so we're moving on from Sonic to I don't know how to segue to this, to Days Gone director leaving PlayStation Bend Studios. This is by Alex Calvin of VG247. So Jeff Ross, who's been with Sony Bend Studios for quite a while, and he's worked on quite a few of the Bend properties, including Siphon Filter and Days Gone, has left
And
the studio.
Uncharted Golden Abyss. We cannot forget that Vita.
Uncharted.
gem.
Oh, it's so good. It should have been in
It's
the
really
collection.
good. We're getting a thumbs up from Cozy.
Yeah, that's it's better than number 1. I don't know if I'd rank it higher than over 2, 3, or 4, but it's
I
better
could
than
give
number
you
1.
1 probably, but I'm not giving you any of the other ones.
No, I think that's fair. But yeah, so he's left. Apparently, he's been gone for a little bit. Was what I was hearing.
No, so this week is his last with the studio, but the head writer of the game actually left Ben's studio earlier this year.
Oh, that's where I'm getting confused. Okay. So I guess it's a good move for him. Like he's going to be moving to Chicago, or plans to move to Chicago once the pandemic dies down. Didn't say what was next for him, but he's been with the studio a while. I know, as somebody who listens to Kind of Funny regularly, I know Greg's talked about him at that studio for years. So he's been pretty well known there.
Excited to see what he moves on to and works on next.
100%. And I'm curious to see what. I assume they're going to do Days Gone too, because Days Gone sold all right.
So
it did better than kind of I think even Sony was expecting to, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah,
Especially in a year that also included another zombie apocalypse game.
as the
What game
article
was that?
itself indicates,
Didn't
the
it,
game
didn't it come
recently
out
came
this
to
year
PlayStation
with Last
5.
of Us Part 2? Or it came out last year?
Yeah,
Came out
last year.
Last
Did
year.
it actually? I'm totally backwards then. Forget me.
It's all right. I was going to say, so like the game obviously came to PlayStation 5 running at 60 FPS and 4K resolution. I was going to propose, even though the original game is already on the PS5 with some enhancements, that maybe the studio's next project could be like a Days Gone 1.5, kind of like the Kingdom Hearts Final Mix games, where they add in some like new content, and it's it's more substantial than just like a Game of the Year edition version of the game, but it's not a full-blown sequel either.
Would that be retooling some of the stuff which critics disliked on the game?
I see it more from the perspective of just like doubling down on the things that the really hardcore fans of Days Gone really enjoyed.
Okay,
As
that's fair.
somebody who platinum Days Gone, I really hope that they do not do that.
Oh, really?
As someone who just booted it up for the first time, I'm actually looking forward to playing through it.
Okay.
I think it is perfectly fine. I think it's a good. I think they have some. I think they have something, like specifically with the horde fighting mechanics, But the biggest problem I had with the game just overall is the horde fighting doesn't really come until the last quarter of the game. Like, you really don't see it until, and it's the most interesting part. And part of the reason why they used Unreal in the first place is because they needed to have so many fucking, so many zombies on screen at the same time. So many freakers. Sorry, they're not
a zombie game. We can say zombies.
They're not zombies. They're called freakers.
I feel like the first Days Gone was a very, much like Horizon, was a very good proof of concept that I think will be just tweaked and be fine-tuned for a sequel. And I would rather, also the story is not very good, and I really hope that they do not bring Deacon St. John back. I like Sam Witwer, but man, Deacon St. John is not a good character.
I have two things to say about this topic specifically. One, bring back Sam Witwer to play Darth Maul anywhere, and I will be very, very happy. And two, could you see them taking the Days Gone formula now that at the end of the game you've got the hordes and everything? Could they do a Days Gone not 1.5, but like a Days Gone Lost Legacy, where they take a different character and follow them through what is honestly the better part of the game? So it is more of like the hordes and following like a side story within this world that could focus on those really good mechanics.
I can't think of.
Hold on. I have an idea. How about you make a Days Gone 1.5 and it's called 358 over 2 Days Gone?
Okay.
Holy shit.
No.
That's money right there. Money.
Mitch, I'm confused. Wait, did Sam Witwer play Darth Maul?
He did.
Yeah, in the Clone Wars and Rebels, I think.
Oh, I didn't know.
He did also voice Darth Maul in Solo.
I just remember him from being the apprentice in...
Spoilers.
What's the game? Force Unleashed.
Force Unleashed.
Yes.
Yeah, and he was also in Soul Calibur.
Yeah,
so he voiced the apprentice in Soul Calibur 4, returned as Starkiller in Force Unleashed 2, voiced Palpatine as well in the Force Unleashed, and gave his voice. Appeared in the Clone Wars as the voice of the Son and Darth Maul. Voiced Palpatine in the second season of Rebels after Tim Curry passed away, and voiced Maul in this season. In season
Tim Curry's still alive.
Is he? I was going to say. I feel like we would have heard.
He had a stroke.
Tim Curry
die.
Oh my bad.
Tim Curry died.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Fake news, Mitch. Way to go.
Yeah, sorry. For whatever reason, I felt like he was one of those celebrities we lost.
He's not.
2020 has been a year.
He's retired after the stroke, right? And that is probably
took
over.
Yeah, he's done. He is done. So, okay. So so Days Gone, new director. We'll need a new director. I'm curious to see what that looks like. That's going to be in the future. When do we hear about Ben's next game? I guess that's the big question.
Let's see. It took them 8 years.
Maybe let's talk about it in a bit.
Probably in like 6.5 years.
I'm going
to see something soon.
I'm joking. I think we could see it in like the next year or two.
Yeah. Okay. And then let's finally move on to the last article here. Microsoft acquires Smash.gg. This is an article from Rebecca Valentine from GamesIndustry.biz. But essentially, Microsoft has acquired esports tournament and event organization platform Smash.gg for an undisclosed amount of money. They was shared today via Smash.gg's Twitter account and confirmed by Microsoft. So what does this mean for Microsoft? Are they going to get into tournaments and organizing? Is this for Killer Instinct?
Competitive Halo, baby!
I mean, they already have the Halo Championship League, but anything to help sort of fill that out more, because I know that, I could imagine that this could be setting up for whatever their multiplayer / probably Battle Royale plans are going to be for Halo Infinite, that just kind of getting this framework set in place will be very handy. Plus, they have other studios that are making, competitive games.
So does this mean this is the kind of thing that happened after the delay so that they could try and make the game better?
This probably just came
or were they going to do this anyway? Because by all accounts, the game should have released this year. If it didn't have that blowback
already.
It would have been out already. So
But would we be as happy about it
to do
now as
this?
we will be in a year?
Yeah, were they already planning to do this sort of thing, or is this something?
I mean,
This out of the blue, but
who knows?
who knows?
We can't really know, and there's kind of
Yeah.
no use speculating, because again, like, they have the Halo Championship League, and it is a very, like, or at least they have put a decent amount into it, a decent amount of time, and clearly there is a budget behind it. Back before COVID, there actually were in-person tournaments, so I think this is something that 343 and Microsoft are taking seriously. We're just assuming that this is for Halo, but again, like, Microsoft does have Killer Instinct. They do have other studios making other things.
Forza.
Yeah, they are making other things and Microsoft has shown that they are more multiplayer and they're more multiplayer focused when it comes to the games that they're making, like between like Grounded and Sea of Thieves and Forza. Yeah. Like, these are all kind of like, so we don't know what their studios are making, but they could be making more multiplayer games that could potentially, anybody who looks at the esports market wants a piece of it, and they're going to try and find some way into it.
Can I give you 2 words that is their way into it?
Go for it.
Perfect Dark.
Yeah. It's entirely
shooter plays real well into this.
Perfect Dark Zero remake coming to the Xbox Series X.
Perfect Dark 0.8 Kingdom Resolved After Time or something like that.
I don't understand these references.
They're Kingdom Hearts references, Alex.
Oh, of course,
yeah,
naturally.
That wasn't a very good reference, by the way, Mitch. Even I was.
It wasn't that bad. Come on.
All right, so this is an interesting story. I'm curious to see. We won't know how this is going to work or how Microsoft's invested into it for a little while, but I'm curious to see what that looks like going forward. So let's jump to a few of the read/watch all the thing, because there's some neat stuff to talk about, and I think one really important thing to talk about. So, and I want to take a second to make sure I'm reading this correctly, and that
just read the headline and you'll nail it.
Yes, thank you. I should just read the headline.
Just read the headline, and if
we'll add to it.
Yeah. Elliot Page, Umbrella Academy and Juno star, announces he is trans. So this was yesterday morning, I believe it came out. Yep. But now, congratulations to him for being able to be who he is.
Hell yeah. You're nailing it so far. You're doing great.
So I've really appreciated his work throughout the X-Men franchise to Juno.
I still need to play Beyond Two Souls, which is kind of how this ties into our show.
I don't need
to. Oh, yeah. I was about to ask, like, what video games again has Elliot appeared in? And you're right. That's the one. But
yes,
there was also the
first Last of Us.
The Last of Us Part 1, where there were internet rumorings that that Ellie was based on Elliot, and there was a hubbub about that, and that's part of why the design was slightly altered for The Last of Us Part 2.
It totally strikes me that, like, they probably wanted to get Elliot at the time because it would have been like, oh man, here's this big name celebrity that will add further kind of credence to our game, and then they ultimately made the decision of, no, we want to go with this other actor that we believe is ultimately better suited for the role, and I think that probably worked out better for them in the long run.
Yep. Elliot has come out, and I think he's got a very important statement on his Twitter that everybody should go and read about trans people and what they suffer and go through. And I think there's a lot of learning that can happen from reading this. So if you get a second, go and read that. I think it's very important too. And I look forward to continue seeing his work. He will continue to be in the Umbrella Academy as Vanya Hargraves, which is a show I enjoy quite a bit. So I'm curious to see what this looks like in the future for that show. So does anybody have any other thoughts?
Cool.
I think it's a great opportunity for all of us who aren't as aware of this community, or that it doesn't affect us as 5 cisgendered white men, or not cisgendered, but 5 or 4. It's a good time for everyone to just get educated about any of this. And I apologize for any time I put my foot in my mouth and I'm doing my best to learn and educate myself through this whole process as well.
We've done a lot of that, not foot in the mouth, but learning this year as an extremely privileged group of individuals. So
yeah, I agree with that. This is something I think this one probably hits more home to me than others in the past because I'm very familiar with his work. So,
and the more awareness that can be raised for cause or for understanding what people do have to go through. I know I've had the conversations with me specifically. I have a coworker that is trans, and asking some of these same questions of what is the protocol, like what should I not be doing. Rule number 1: never use someone's dead name. Ever. And that's all I want to say.
And we nailed it today, not doing that. Good job, everybody.
We're all learning.
Yes.
So anyways, please go read the statement on his Twitter. I think it's very important to read. So anyways, let's move on from that to talk about something a lot more sillier. Crash Bandicoot 4 pokes fun at Nathan Drake with a nod to Uncharted 4. There's a video, I believe, that is circulating on the Crash Bandicoot Twitter, but essentially it's got Crash Bandicoot and that's his sister, right? Not his girlfriend? Coco?
I think it's Coco. It's been a while since I played a Crash game.
Same.
I believe so.
I unfortunately started playing them, and now I have 3 sets of trophies that say 0%.
You can delete those, right?
Oh, I can't delete those. That's right. But anyways, they're playing an Uncharted game. I believe it's Uncharted 4, in reminiscent to the scene from Uncharted 4 where
they were playing Crash.
They played Crash 1.
Yeah, they were playing Crash 1. Nate and Elena. I'm saying that. Yeah, Elena, right?
Yeah.
They were playing Crash 1 on the couch. And this is reminiscent of that. And it's a neat little thing. It's interesting that I thought it would be more Christmas themed because it said the tweet was great to see friends helping friends this holiday season. But there's not really anything Christmas attached to it.
I mean,
no, I think it was more so just an ad for their game and trying to get more Christmas sales.
I was also going to say,
that makes
Crash
sense.
and his sister probably live in a section of the world where like they don't get a lot of snow on Christmas time. So
That's fair.
Bandicoots traditionally from Australia.
Oh yeah, and they're
I'm gonna look into that, but I'm pretty sure Bandicoots are from Australia.
Is the Bandicoot a real thing?
Bandicoots are real thing.
Oh,
Yeah, Bandicoots
Australia.
Are a group of 20 or it is a group of 20 or more species of small to medium-sized terrestrial marsupial omnivores that are endemic to the Australia-New Guinea region.
Yeah,
All right.
It looks nothing like Crash.
Not in the slightest.
So it's a very funny little thing, especially if you've played Uncharted 4, and you only have to play a few minutes of Uncharted 4 to get the clip of it.
Yeah,
so
the first 20-30 minutes, I think.
yeah, it's really quick. So go give that a watch. It's really neat. Nice to see them invoking Naughty Dog, which is a nice little throwback to the Crash's heritage, even though it's not owned by Sony anymore. So and finally, Mitch added this one right before the show started, but so I'm going to let Mitch talk about it here because
I need it so much.
I think he has found something to blow his money on.
He is hard.
For Pokemon Day, which is the anniversary of the release of the original games, this year Nintendo is working with the Wand Company to announce, and they're going to produce a die-cast Pokeball, which is basically the closest representation we've had yet of a real-life Pokeball. It comes in a case. The case lights up. The Pokeball itself lights up. I want it so bad.
See, some of us already have Pokeballs, Mitch.
Those aren't okay. Those are Burger King toys from the 90s. They are not.
This is not a Burger King toy. This is full of Pokemon cards.
Even worse.
See, this one has a special golden Pokemon card.
Yeah, I had that when I was a kid too. But this is.
I wish I still had that. I was an idiot and got rid of those.
Also, I know Cozy stepped away, but I also added another one at the last minute. So when he gets back, I'm going to say, Cozy!
What did you add?
I added another one at the last minute too, if you can pull it up. But
okay. I just want to
cool.
say, I have a Premier Ball with Fomantis on it.
Ooh.
Fomantis is see-through because of the
Mega
green
Blocks,
screen
isn't it?
effect. Yep, that's correct. Mega Constructs.
Yeah, I've been tempted by those, but this looks like the real deal, and I really do want to pick it up.
Wait,
but
Mitch, did you call my Burger King toy crappy?
Let's move on.
That's fighting words.
Oh shit! Got him.
Nintendo also revealed a better look at Super Nintendo World, which will open in February in Japan at Universal Studios.
Please wear a mask.
And oh my God, guys, we need to go to Japan when the world opens back up. I want to go so
How
bad.
long do COVID symptoms last? Like 21 days?
14 days.
I don't think we can. You can catch it more than once, and that's a problem.
I'm saying is everyone stays in their home for the next 14 days. We can all go to this theme park come 2021.
But then we'll have to quarantine when we get home too.
And you'll probably have to quarantine when you get there as well.
Yeah.
If everybody in the world did it, then
All right, all 7 billion of you watching this stream right now, stay in your home. Don't leave.
freaking Twitch records.
This is our best stream ever.
Yeah.
7
Can't believe
billion.
it.
Yeah, wow, we're getting people to watch that don't even have the internet.
So,
Yeah.
wow.
Impressive.
Good
job, guys.
Yeah, so the Super Nintendo World is opening in February. It looks like it's going to be super cool. I think we're going to have to start a Patreon to start funding for our trip to film to go there. Is that
Maybe.
something
I mean, first on location Press YYZ live from Super Nintendo World in Universal Studios Japan. It pays for itself. The marketing, come on, Nintendo, you know us. Come on.
yes, come on, hit us up.
I've had aspirations to go back to Japan, since
Haven't we all?
returning back home from it in 2017. And like, I was actually planning on going this year, but I suppose that 2021, if everything works out, is a better time than never.
When I was there in 2016, I had a dream of coming back in 2020 to go to the Olympics, but
Right.
that didn't happen.
Part of the appeal of the Olympics, right, is that there's going to be a lot more like English signage. Like, it's theoretically the best time to be there if you're a foreigner and you're not super adept at speaking Japanese.
Even still, Japan is just great, and the people are friendly enough that
That's
you
true.
would have a good time regardless.
Especially in the city.
I had a really good time in
Tokyo.
I want to go see Japan.
You get out
I
of Tokyo,
wanna go
then
ride
you have a rougher time.
Mario Kart and see a real life Bowser's Castle.
Yeah.
They're also building one in Universal Studios Hollywood, but like
Mitch,
you gotta
you
see
need
Nintendo.
Mitch, you need to propose to Carmen again, but in front of the Bowser statue. Or maybe she proposes to you in front of the Bowser statue there.
That's actually a good idea of a series of photos where we just recreate our engagement in
Yeah.
front of different
Theme park.
landmarks that are all related to theme parks.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
There you go.
Could be a
Alex,
fun, every yearly.
The reason that I proposed to my wife at Disney World was to give us an excuse to go to Disney World to celebrate different milestones.
Not because you loved her.
Also because I loved her. We've been together for a really long time. I wanted to be happy for the rest of my life and spend the rest of my life with her, but also Disney World.
So
I will say something. I'm really looking forward to riding around in the Mario Kart ride, going into Bowser's Castle, meeting Mario in person. However, I am also really looking forward to finding the one churro stand that's selling a Metroid-themed churro. Because you know that they're going to have something, a little something in there, and I am determined to find it when the park opens up.
Do it.
I think if we get a chance to go down, at some point when the pandemic ends, I think we're all fans of Kind of Funny, and I would like to drive down for their studio opening whenever that happens, if that happens.
Going for the thing too.
If it is safe to do so, I can totally do that.
Yeah, so I thought it'd be fun to drive down, but we could hit the theme park while we're there.
If it's open, there's no opening date yet for the one in Hollywood.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're also okay. This is good. I'm really down the weeds of theme park knowledge now, but they're also planning a third gate at Universal Studios Orlando. A gate is essentially what they refer to in the community as like another park. So there is a third gate that's been announced, and the rumor is that one of the lands in that new park will be Nintendo Land, and it'll be the largest out of the three. So within the next 10 years, there might be one in Universal Orlando as well.
Oh wow,
man!
That'll be an interesting addition.
It's been so long since I've last been to Orlando. I remember last time we went to Lego World, Disney World, and then like days 3 through 7. I was like, well, I guess we can go orange picking, and then we can try to blend down the oranges and make orange juice that doesn't taste very good.
Yeah, we went for 8 days and just did Disney, and it was legitimately magical.
That's the way you got to do it. You just got to splurge.
You got to do it that way. I got the tips. So when the world does open back up and we plan the Press YYZ visit to Universal and Disney World, and we do an on-location recording and we make content out of it, I got all the tips and trips. I just said tips and trips instead of tricks and tips.
Yep.
And we can move on.
Well, let's just move on to its raining deals. So Mitch, you've got that Control is coming to Xbox Game Pass on December 3rd. I'd like to say that this is terrible because it is not coming to PC Game Pass, just console Game Pass. And that's
Also, it's not the Ultimate Edition either.
It's not the Ultimate one with ray tracing and shit. So
yeah, this is it coming with like the standard release, not the up-res release. Which we'll see if that happens in the line. But this also comes with the announcement that yes, Your Grace is coming. Doom Eternal is coming to PC, which I'm very excited to give a shot. Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition will be available on both PC and console. Lots of stuff coming to Game Pass this month.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff leaving too. I'm always whenever you see a bunch of games coming, you see a bunch of games going at the same time. So that's always interesting to me. And then Cozy, do you want to talk about the PlayStation Store on desktop and how terrible it is, I'm assuming?
Yeah, okay. So here's what happened. Earlier today, I went onto the PlayStation Store on desktop because it's the first Tuesday of the month, and that's typically when new PlayStation Plus games are made available. And I went to the PlayStation Plus section of the store, as you can see right here. And
as one would
all right,
do the games.
Sorry?
As one would presumably do to claim the free games for the month. Yeah.
Right. And I specifically went here to the tab this month on PS Plus. I'm like, all right, cool. Just Cause 4, Rocket Arena, and also Worms Rumble, the game we were talking about earlier.
Rocket Arena this month?
Ta-da.
We should totally play some Rocket Arena.
I think so. Sorry, you were coming in a little bit quiet on my end, Mitch, and I didn't...
Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. Anyways, so I'm like, all right, cool, download now. Well, I don't want to download it, but I do at least want to put it in my library, so I want to go and click on download now. I wait for it to take ages to load, because for some reason it's just real slow. And then, so right now, it's fixed. Yeah, it's fixed now, so this whole segment is kind of nil and void. But previously, all the buttons that you see down here, download from library, add to cart, download to library, whatever, were not visible at all. Nor were any of the prices. And Sony, just fix your crap, man. Fix your crap.
The funny thing is, the PlayStation Store on browser used to be pretty good. And then with this new store interface, it's pretty good on console, except it's missing a deal section, which makes zero sense. It's honestly, it's fantastic in the mobile app. Is absolute horse shit on web browsers.
Reclusive Dragon in the chat is saying it's still not working for them through the app, and he's also got having this problem. Yeah. So. Anyway.
So, yeah, come on, get the I appreciate some of the things they did with the web store, but it's 3 steps backwards, 10 steps back.
So just 13 steps back total without a step forward.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with
this was very much a monkey paw wish of, we want to make the store on our consoles as great as possible. Okay, cool, but everything else is going to suffer as a result.
All right. Well, in all fairness, the console store is really good, except it's
also
spots for sales and such.
15 minutes ago, the store on the PS Vita is just straight up broken right now.
Oh no!
No!
Well, that's the only way you can buy games for the Vita now, so they better get that fixed up.
You can buy or re-download games for your PS Vita.
Oh, that's.
You want an article, Cozy? I got you an article from Kotaku. And drop it for you in the chat.
I still use my Vita every now and then, so if it's permanently broken, that's going to be sad.
I'm assuming it just has something to do with these weird issues we're seeing on the other stores, and it's just more impactful on the Vita. I don't know.
They have to fix it. They got to get that fixed.
Yeah. So that was Ian Walker at Kotaku reporting.
The Vita deserves better.
Has anybody tried remote play on their Vita to their PS5 yet?
No, I should give that a try.
Yeah,
It's
give it
actually
a shot.
works good on the phone.
If Greg
time,
had
yeah.
done it, then I feel like
I'm going to charge up my Vita and see
I think
how that
I'm
works.
actually charging right now. I could do it after the show, or I can do it right
okay.
now if you want to give 5 minutes.
Well, okay, let's get into the show, and maybe you can tell us at the end of the show. How about that?
He's just gone. He's gone.
Oh, we lost him. Well, anyways, let's just get into the topic of the show. This week, we are doing a We Predict for the Game Awards 2020. So Game Awards are going to be broadcasting on the 10th? 11th?
Yes, that's correct, because it's happening the day after we record our podcast next week.
So the 10th.
it's the 10th when Cyberpunk comes out.
So these predictions are going to be timely. We're doing them so that people watching us live will see it now. Audio listeners will have them before the Game Awards goes live. And we can see who the winner is and who the best guesser of guessing things is. So
I swear this thing was charged, but it won't turn on.
Oh no.
No.
It's happened to you too.
Now,
When I
don't
get a break,
panic.
I'll go and make sure that the charger was actually plugged into the wall. We'll
Mitch,
see.
don't panic, because I had the exact same issue that you are experiencing right now. And it turns out that the issue was actually with the charging cable itself. My charging
I've
cable
already had to
basically.
replace the charging cable once.
yeah, mine
really?
might need replacing.
Yeah, it like wore through. So I have replaced it. I'll go take a look when I get a break between categories or something. Just come to me last or something like that.
Okay. Well, we're going to start. For We Predict, we've done one before on guessing the Metacritic scores of games at the end of the year. Or OpenCritic. Was it OpenCritic or Metacritic? I guess it doesn't matter for this.
OpenCritic is what we use.
OpenCritic.
So this one's going to be a little bit different because it's not a number we're figuring out. We're just picking it. And I guess we're just going to issue 1 point for a correct prediction.
That's what I've done. So I've actually already done all the formulas and stuff in this Excel sheet. So as soon as we pick a winner there, like if you want to just, for example, if I pick a winner, let's say we all picked either a couple of things. So if I pick this, you'll see it'll tick up for a couple people at the bottom, but not the others.
Okay.
So all the math's already done. We just got to
all the math.
wait for the awards.
Question for the surprise announcement. Should there be more points awarded for getting a correct surprise announcement?
I'd say like 5 points for the surprise announcement, 3 points for the Smash Brothers announcement.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Because it's out of nowhere. With these, they're all like all the categories, you have a specific list of things to choose from where the announcements are out of nowhere. So, and that could really turn the tide and be very exciting. So, all right. So let's get into the...
I was going to ask,
go ahead,
start
Josie.
this from the bottom or from the top?
Start from the bottom and work our way up to the...
Okay, that's fine. We'll start with the first category. We'll save the surprise announcements for just before Game of the Year. How about that?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So let's start off with the first category that we're going to talk about then. Best debut game. So our possible options are Carrion, Mortal Shell, Raji, and Ancient Epic, Roki, and Plasmophobia.
Phasmophobia.
Or Phasmophobia, thank you. Phasmophobia.
Phantasmagoria.
Oh, that's a bad game. So where's everybody's thoughts here? So I can see that I can't see who's. So AJ has Carrion, Cozy. I've lost it.
Raji.
Cozy has Raji. Alex is Carrion.
Alex has Phasmophobia.
No, Phasmophobia. Sorry, Carrion. So what's everybody's thought process here? Alex, you actually played Carrion, correct?
I did.
So, and you still think Phasmophobia is coming in above that?
The reason why I think that is because as soon as Carrion came out, yes, it was a good game. Everyone forgot about it almost immediately.
I would make that same. I'd make that same argument for Phasmophobia.
Yeah,
I still think Phasmophobia is still. I mean, yeah, it was. I mean, here's the thing: is Phasmophobia at least was. It was like the October game of like the new trending game for October, but October is still way closer than what July was when Carrion came out.
There.
Something like that.
A recency bias, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's kind of where I was thinking with this. The other games on the list, I just literally have never heard of as well.
Yeah.
So Raji was the one that was just announced in like the Switch indie showcase.
Yeah.
It's the one developed in India with the Indian culture.
Yep.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And then Mortal Shell
I knew about.
Like,
Yeah.
and Roki I've heard of, or Ruki. I guess it's Ruki because of the umlaut over the O.
This is Roki's description on Metacritic. Roki is an adventure game inspired by Scandinavian folklore, a dark contemporary fairy tale underpinned by a touching narrative and alluring art style, ancient puzzles, and atmospheric exploration. It has a 76% rating.
Yeah. So this is one of the categories where the one that I picked, Carry On, is also the one that I hope wins. Just because I really enjoyed my time with it. There was a bit of, getting lost, but I think that was just an indicative of kind of the way that they designed the game. I think if there is a sequel, that they will have fixed some of those things. But I think for a debut, the game is phenomenal.
Yeah, that's kind of where my head's at. I really, really liked Carry On. I guess the biggest issue is that there's no map to it, but I think once you figured out how to get around, it wasn't that hard.
Yeah,
because they gave you a trick near the end to figure out what exactly you needed to get. My biggest disappointment was there was no secret ending if you completed if you got everything. I was hoping that effort would be rewarded, and there wasn't. But what do you do?
What do you do?
Do you feel at all like the kind of grotesque nature of Carrion might make judges more dissuaded from voting for it?
No, I think the game is pretty well respected. Devolver Digital does weird things, so I think that'll be fine. Okay, so let's move on to the next category, Content Creator of the Year. In the category, we have Alana Pierce, formerly of Funhouse and IGN, now part of Sony Santa Monica Studios. J.N. Lopez, who I have no idea who that is. Nick Merckx Kolchev, who I have no idea who that is. Tim the Tatman Batar, who rose to fame with his failure at Fall Guys. And Rachel Valkyrie Hofstetter? I don't know who that is. Valkyrie. Hofstetter, who I also don't know who they are. I went with Tim the Tatman because he got pretty social famous for just failing at Fall Guys over and over and over again.
I agree. That's why I picked him. I don't care about this category. I hope Alana wins.
Yeah, I'd like to see Alana win.
I feel like it could be either Tim the Tatman or Alana Pierce, because I feel like both of them have just such kind of like notoriety around them. I think Tim the Tatman's probably a little bit more so just because of how big his audience is on Twitch. But I still could see Alana potentially getting it just by all of the things that she like. This has been a huge year for her, in general. So I feel like it could swing either way.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I went with Valkyrie because she's kind of outside of our normal purview here in our typical game space. And she has been blowing up absolutely streaming on YouTube lately. And she lives in the same house as Pokimane. And so there's huge offline TV crossover on YouTube and whatnot. So personally, I just feel like while I know Alana Pierce more and I know Tim the Tatman from him failing at Fall Guys over the summer, I feel like Valkyrie could like sweep up from behind, and a lot of people won't necessarily expect it. But
it'll be interesting. I'm curious to see where this goes. The one thing I'll say, Alana doesn't need it anymore because of her new job. I feel like she's going to
think it would be fun.
It'd be fun, but it'd be out of the video games sphere
she still
for
does
her.
personal YouTube stuff.
Yeah,
and she's still been streaming on Twitch.
Yeah,
I guess that's fair. I'm curious with her working in Santa Monica if that's going to change. I guess we'll see.
This also could be a perfect bookend for her as kind of a online content creator, as her like primary job to be trending gamer or content creator of the year. I feel like it would be just kind of really like a nice bookend.
So, okay. Next, we'll move on to best multiplayer game. So for best multiplayer game, we have Animal Crossing New Horizons, Among Us, Call of Duty Warzone, Fall Guys, and Valorant.
Can I talk about how it's stupid that Among Us is on this list because it came out in 2016? I don't give a shit that it got popular this year. It came out in 2016.
Yeah, it's time to learn to adapt with new things, and that means that game of the year, especially in a pandemic year, doesn't necessarily have to be restricted and gate kept to only games that came out that year. It
So
can
you picked
be any
a game. You picked a game for best debut game that is in beta. It's in early access, Phasmophobia. So if we're talking only about games that released this year, Phasmophobia technically did not release this year.
We have not had the 1.0 on that. So.
Yeah, I think Among Us should be recognized because it's a cultural phenomenon in what it's done. Like my son plays Among Us on his cell phone religiously right now, and has YouTube going on the side. He loves playing it. He loves like just playing against other people. And I think it would be a disservice to not include it because of how popular it's gotten. I get it came out in 2016, but if a game's good and it does something right, it should get its due when it becomes popular.
And that's what Jeff Keighley has said as to why it got nominated this year. But you saw Jedi Fallen Order last year fall, 2 days short of the nominee window. We saw this year, this year, Miles Morales was something that people had in their hands 3 days before noms were due. They didn't even have Demon Souls when nominations were due.
That's a timing issue,
Creed
though.
Valhalla, we only got with 2 nominations this year.
Yeah.
That's a timing issue of when the awards are, not necessarily and I think Gary Whitta said this on Kind of Funny Games Daily, but they really just need to be pushed back to January, February.
Game of the year has to mean what games in general just defined the year, and
I'm sure we're going to get into it once we figure out what our game of the year format is.
Towards the last quarter, to be perfectly honest, Among Us got big in 2020 because it deserved to, especially in 2020. So it sort of defines this year, especially.
Yeah. I think it would be a disservice to not include Among Us, and we'll have to have that conversation when we do our game of the year this year, as Mitch was mentioning. So for us, I'm seeing, I don't have the top of the list here. Yes, I do. So it's Alex and I who are saying Fall Guys for game of the year, or from best multiplayer game, and the other 3 are going for Among Us. Any thoughts there?
I mean, both these games, had some pretty big celebrities sort of enter into the fray with them. Obviously, we had Tim the Tatman's many escapades with Fall Guys, but on the Among Us side, we got AOC and a couple of other pretty high-profile politicians get in on that one. So,
I think Fall Guys.
Jagmeet Singh.
Mitch, you can go.
Sorry, no,
I don't
go
have anything
ahead.
else to say.
Okay. I was just going to say, Fall Guys had its moment. Fall Guys was huge, and then Fall Guys fell off a cliff. Among Us is a game that has had, once it was discovered, which the story behind the discoverability of the game was another interesting, talking point in 2020. I think Among Us has the staying power to, 1, win this category, and 2, be with us for quite some time to come. We already know, and it's been announced, that they will be revealing the new Among Us map at the Game Awards, which I think ties in really well with a quote-unquote stage presentation for the award for best multiplayer to Among Us.
So, and that's quite possible, and they often do these tie-ins. You know what? I'm going to change my mind. I think, actually, with all the notoriety that's gotten for the political talk and who's been playing it, I think Among Us will be Fall Guys, which makes me sad.
I want Fall Guys to win because it personally was my favorite multiplayer experience of the year, but I do believe that Among Us is going to take this award.
Yeah, I think if I'm trying to get points, we need to have I need to have Among Us there.
I mean, you got to get points by having different games than everyone else on the list, which is where we get into our next category.
But also, before we continue, and
that was a great segue.
I know, I'm sorry, but I just have to clarify some rules. Because, Nathan, you have changed your game. At this point forward, do we want to commit to what we have, or do we want it to
we said we could change.
No, you can change as we go.
It'll lock in when we're done discussion.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Got it. Okay. I'm going to
your picks are already so good that you're not going to change any of them, right, Alex?
Exactly.
After this episode, then we're kind of locked in. But
yes, after this episode, I will create a copy, and anyone who tries to fib it, the same way they've tried to fib the Metacritic one, I'm gonna find you.
Has somebody tried fibbing that?
I don't know if they've tried fibbing it, but I have the original copy. So if anyone did,
okay, you're just trying to.
I will be comparing both lists when I go. I think New Year's is going to be great because it's just going to be spent compiling those scores for the new year.
Okay.
Sorry, Carmen.
All right. So let's move on to best sports/racing game. This year we have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2, FIFA 21, NBA 2K21, F1 2020, and Dirt 5. I think there's two notable ones missing. One being MLB The Show, whatever year it was, because that's always a great game, sports game. And PGA Tour would have been good on here. There's only so many spots, though. I definitely would have them over F1. But I feel like they need to have that to fill the racing category.
Well, there's that, but like F1 is like growing in a weird popularity, which is how I've in the last couple of years kind of gotten into it.
Okay.
Because as somebody who's not into sports, so there is something that I can't get into the F1 game because it's too much of a sim.
Yeah.
But it is growing, that's for sure.
So I've picked Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, which most of us have. Mitch has picked FIFA 21. Mitch, what are your thoughts there?
This is an international voting panel. I think the Western audience very much is into the Tony Hawk Pro Skater idea. I think it was a well-executed remake, but at the same point, it is a remake, and I feel like the polish and the FIFA 21 will just be a more
remake
comprehensive
of the year before.
It is, but it is a more comprehensive experience. There was some lackluster multiplayer in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. There were things that people weren't necessarily on board for, whereas I think FIFA is a complete experience, and I think anyone who's voting internationally outside of North America is voting for FIFA 21.
I don't know.
All of y'all voted for Tony Hawk, but I needed something to be different so I can get more points than you.
It's definitely a North American show first.
Yeah,
not in terms of the judging panel. If you look at the judging panel, and also worldwide, there is a fan vote component to this as well.
Yeah, so in terms of the fan vote, the majority of people, yes, there's going to be the Venn diagram of a big crossover, but the majority of people who are playing FIFA are probably not watching the Game Awards.
I agree with that. I also think that the
more people who play Tony Hawk's 1 and 2 will be watching the Game Awards.
The international outlets that you're referring to, because these are all outlets that vote on it, they're likely not playing. Like, how many outlets do we hear are regularly playing sports games, no matter where they're from? It's just not a thing that usually happens, even internationally. And I expect Tony Hawk has made such a big comeback with this game that will be recognized.
I wanted to do something different, but y'all have convinced me otherwise.
Sorry, I didn't mean to make you change it.
I wanted to get points there, but you guys make goddamn good arguments.
Well, you're going to get points now. You're welcome.
Yeah. If FIFA wins that category, I deserve pity points in some fashion.
If
I'm
FIFA
just saying
wins,
that now.
I will.
We'll give you a frowny face. How about that?
Yeah,
appreciate it.
So next up, we've got the best sim/strategy game. In that category, we've got XCOM Chimera Squad, Microsoft Flight Simulator, Gears Tactics, Desperados 3, and Crusader Kings 3. Three of us have gone with Microsoft Flight Simulator. Cozy and Alex have gone with Crusader Kings 3. Both high-profile games, both free on Game Pass as well.
Yeah, I think the games in this category are
all of these games are except Desperado. Like, I think
Chimera
Gears
Squad
is as well, so it's just XCOM and Desperados.
Yeah, I have almost half a mind to switch my vote back to Microsoft Flight Simulator because I've forgotten how, I would not describe Microsoft Flight Simulator as having had like a gigantic moment in 2020, but it had a moment that was, I think, more sizable than any of us would have expected. So
it had a moment that was bigger than Crusader Kings this year.
Yeah, I think the sim aspects to Microsoft Flight Sim and how like you're able to fly over your house and where it is and the detail that they brought into the world.
Just go watch the No Clip documentary he just released. Danny O'Dwyer on No Clip.
I think that's going to carry it.
I think it really comes down to these two titles when it comes to outlets voting on this because they're the two that had a significant impact in the genre. I don't like that they share a category here because both of them are deserving of an award for what they've done for their respective genres.
They're both phenomenal games.
I do see a lot of outlets going back and forth between the two though, because Crusader Kings is a really, really good strategy game, whereas a sim game is a game that makes you forget that you're playing a game. So it doesn't feel as much like a game as something like Crusader Kings. So I can definitely see it going either way.
They shouldn't be together. It's kind of like sports and racing. You've got two different categories, but there's just not enough games to support them individually.
This seems like one of those nightmare scenarios where when they created the sim strategy game category, maybe it was during a year where like the sim games and the strategy games were very samey, but this one year we have Crusader Kings 3 and Microsoft Flight Simulator, which couldn't be more different from each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really interesting. I think Microsoft Flight Simulator is going to take it. I think that had way more buzz. Crusader Kings did get tens, a lot of tens though. Yeah. So it was really respected by outlets. I'm very curious to see where this one goes. And I think it's a coin flip.
I know what. I think this is the one that's going to surprise it. Is anyone else thinking of switching their vote? Because I'm thinking of switching my vote.
I'm going to keep mine Microsoft Flight Sim.
Ultimately.
All right, I guess I'll leave it. My heart's with Flight Sim, but I feel like Crusader Kings could sneak it out.
So, best family game. So we've got Paper Mario and the Origami King, Minecraft Dungeons, Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, Fall Guys, Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, and Animal Crossing New Horizons.
No comment.
Is there any? It just like has anybody noticed that some categories have 6 games, some categories have 5 games?
Yeah, I think it.
Or did I screw up?
No,
it is. That is genuine.
That's all over the place.
Yeah, it's very inconsistent.
Like if you're going to do 6, like they could have put a 6 sports game in there, especially when you're combining 2 different categories into one.
Wait till we get to the next category.
Yeah. I think best family game. We all have Animal Crossing New Horizons. Yeah. It was a phenomenon this year. It's the second most selling Switch game of all time, behind Mario Kart right now, I think, and will probably be the first when it's all said and done.
After this holiday, I would agree with you.
Yeah. So I don't think we need to talk too much about that.
Nope.
So
Nintendo knows how to make games that make money.
Poor Fall Guys. They're going to get shut out. Best fighting game. So for best fighting game, I'm going to have fun saying these. So Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate Edition, Street Fighter 5 Championship Edition, One Punch Man, A Hero Nobody Knows, and Under Night In Birth EXE late bracket CL-R bracket. So for everybody went with Mortal Kombat here. I think that's a popular choice. I chose and went a little bit different with Grand Blue Fantasy Versus because that's really the new hotness that they're talking about in the fighting game community right now. I don't know if that will translate to votes. But Grand Blue Versus does a lot of interesting things in terms of medieval style. It's actually based on a game called Grand Blue Fantasy. That's a mobile RPG.
It's like one of those gacha games, right?
Kind of. It is. It's got the original artist from Final Fantasy behind it. So, and it was a mobile game only released in Japan. For some reason, the fighting game came here, but the fighting game actually implements cooldowns and a few other things, which is new to nobody else has really tried in the genre.
That sounds horrible.
So I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was really cool. Really cool character design. I love the Final Fantasy character designs. You can see the influence in it. So
any of the other games from this Under Night developer, but this game was ported by Arc System Works apparently. So we all know their pedigree for fighting games. I'm sure it's great.
Under Night's actually really good too. I have that one as well. And Street Fighter 5 Championship's a great collection at a great value.
Can I just talk about how much of a joke this category is, just in the sense that there's just not enough games for this category? And
would you have rather them done best fighting / role playing game?
No,
could have done that too.
No, but they just didn't need to include it. Here's the thing: is One Punch Man, A Hero That Nobody Knows, has a 57 on Metacritic.
But all those other games are pretty well respected.
I was going to say,
Street Fighter and
then just have the category be those 3 titles. You don't need the other filler in there.
Yeah. Like, I just feel like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat also shouldn't be on this list because both of them did not come out this year. And this is not as much of a thing of like with Among Us, where it's like, yes, Among Us did get popular. Where it's like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, those are just the most recent iterations of those games.
Mortal Kombat just put out John Rambo in as a fighter. He totally deserves to be here.
Yeah, technically, those games were like their newer versions, but like Street Fighter V Championship Edition did come out in February, and
Mortal Kombat did Ultimate Edition did come out this year as well with the
and the original version did come out last year.
Yeah, so I think they are both like technically new releases and they made some significant changes to well, I know Street Fighter V did. No, Mortal Kombat 11 did with the Ultimate Edition because they brought back friendships and a few other things.
Also the Aftermath DLC,
it was mostly just DLC, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. It just still feels weird to me.
I'm with you there.
I think it's the problem is I can't imagine not having a category for fighting games as somebody who's a fan like in the community for it. And I think like these are the games you should be recognizing, maybe not One Punch Man, but if we're in a situation where we're doing 5 or 6 games, you could do 4 games in a category if there were only 4 games that deserved it.
Yeah. Okay, we can move on. I just wanted to talk about the Metacritic score because I think it's funny.
No problems. So best role-playing game. So we've got Final Fantasy VII Remake, Genshin Impact, Persona 5 Royale, Wasteland 3, and Yakuza Like a Dragon. It looks like we've got a mix between Persona 5 Royale and Final Fantasy VII Remake. Alex, you've had the chance to play both of them. Obviously, we know you're a huge Persona fan. If you're going to compare it against Final Fantasy VII Remake, what's your thoughts?
So I think Persona 5 Royal is an overall better game than Final Fantasy VII Remake. I think Final Fantasy VII Remake is great, but I think there's a lot of points in that game where it's very polished until it isn't. Where I think Persona 5 Royal is an overall just a fully complete experience that is consistent all the way through. Where I think there's some weird dips in quality in Final Fantasy VII Remake, and that's why I gave it to Persona 5 Royal.
Yeah, so I haven't finished either of these 2 games. I will say Persona 5 Royal felt like home again when I was playing it. I enjoyed. I need to go back to 7 Remake and play more of it. But there's just something about the Persona universe that I really jive with. For me personally, I think this is going to be a toss-up because realistically, Persona 5 Royal should be on the Game of the Year list, and it's not. This is a game that got 10s. Yeah, this is a game that got 10s out of outlets.
We'll get to it when we talk about Game of the Year of what we think could be there instead of some of the other nominees. But yeah, I'm kind of with you there, at least for something like Royal or Crusader Kings or Flight Sim, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I think they is it the Oscars who's gone to 10 movies?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they should look at having a deeper amount of games at that final category because you're taking so many different categories and putting it into one.
I have thoughts on why they shouldn't, but we can get to it when we get to the top of this because we're not even halfway through this.
Let's keep moving through here.
Let's go.
We don't need to fight.
I'm back and forth between FF7 and Persona 5 in this category. To be honest, I actually just flipped it before we talked about it. Final Fantasy is my Game of the Year. I really hope it wins this, but I could definitely see it going to Persona.
And I can see a situation where somehow Final Fantasy VII Remake wins Game of the Year but loses Best Role Playing. See, I think more people played Final Fantasy VII, so when it comes to outlet voting, I think there's going to be a bigger push for Final Fantasy VII because more people played it. I could just see its name really doing well for it, though. Yeah. So I like Persona 5. Because everybody knows what quality that is. But anyways, let's keep moving on here. Best Action Adventure. So for the Action Adventure category, we've got Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Star Wars. Somebody keeps discording and it keeps blocking it. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and The Last of Us Part 2. See, this is where we'll talk about Cyberpunk next year, just showing up. So
if it comes out.
Yeah, if it comes out. So AJ's got The Last of Us Part 2. Everybody else has Ghost of Tsushima. My thought was that this is probably where Ghost of Tsushima will get an award.
Yeah.
like people will put their, and plus it seems like a good mix of action and adventure and more of a free sense to it.
I think more people are going to vote for The Last of Us Part 2 and then give this its due in action adventure.
Remaining as spoiler free as possible, in the Last of Us Part 2 spoiler cast, I talked about how what I didn't like about the combat in The Last of Us Part 2 is it felt like even the best laid plans would eventually go to hell. And while I've not played a game like Ghost of Tsushima, it strikes me as the kind of game where the best laid plans will work out if you're playing well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, I went with, this is one of the places where I had to go with the one I actually played, and that just so happened to be Last of Us for me. So
I didn't play either of them, so I'm just getting here.
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order yet to make a proper judgment, but I don't think
this is the category Jedi could have won last year had it been eligible for nominations.
Yeah, I agree with that.
These things need
no way in hell
January.
it touches it this year. Unfortunately,
I feel like this is the one category that Ghost of Tsushima could win. So I think they're going to throw it a bone.
I think so too, and it's a phenomenal game. I honestly enjoyed it more than The Last of Us Part 2, but we'll get to that when we talk about our personal games of the year. Let's move on.
Yep. Okay. So next up, we've got Best Action. So in the Best Action category, we've got Doom Eternal, Hades, Half-Life Alyx, Neo 2, and Streets of Rage 4. So we have a
Streets of Rage 4 here. It's a great little beat 'em up.
Yeah, I've heard that. All these games are high quality. I think we all have Hades across the board, except Alex, who has Doom Eternal because you're a Doom stan.
I love Hades. Hades.
I know you love Hades, but you love Doom. I've seen how
Doom.
Doom.
I think is just, it perfects what Doom 2016 did, and it is just invigorating. Playing the DLC a month ago, I was like, "Holy shit! It just doesn't get old." Neither does Hades, but I think I enjoyed all the time I spent on Doom more than Hades.
Okay, that's fair. I think with the buzz Hades is getting personally, I can't see that not winning. And I don't think it's going to win Game of the Year, so I think this is one of those spots where it gets recognized.
I think, as much as I hate to say it, I think I'm going to change my category. Can someone do that for me? Because I had to close the tab while I was trying to fix my internet.
You want it? What do you want it to do?
Hades.
To Hades?
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you guys.
Okay, so we've switched it to Hades.
We need a reason for us not all to get points.
So we've got a good mix here as we come up. Innovation and accessibility. This is a new category, which
you say that,
we're
Nathan, but the next two ones were ones where it was a clean sweep of the same game across the board.
You know what? Come on. It'll get better as we go on. So innovations and accessibility, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Grounded, Hyperdot, The Last of Us Part 2, and Watch Dogs Legion. We all picked The Last of Us Part 2. There's no competition what The Last of Us did for accessibility.
Shoutouts to Ubi, but
yeah.
And I appreciate that Ubi's been speaking with friend of the show, Steve Saylor, about like how they can get better. But Last of Us Part 2 just knocked out of the park.
Did they have this category last year?
Nope.
This is new to this year.
So just based on my own brain recap of the year, this is the game that inspired this category.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So I kind of have to vote for that.
Yep, I think that's fair. I don't think we need a lot of discussion on this one, so let's keep moving on. Best AR/VR game.
No competition.
Even though there isn't an AR game on the list. They're all VR games.
Nominated previously.
But Dreams, Half-Life Alyx, Iron Man VR, Star Wars Squadrons, and The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. We all have Half-Life Alyx. I feel like it has to be Half-Life Alyx, although I feel very sad for Dreams because I think
they're all fantastic games, but Half-Life Alyx is on a different echelon when it comes to VR games.
Yep, I agree with that. I wish I could play it. I hope it comes to PSVR or PSVR 2 at some point, whatever that happens to be. Okay, so next up we've got Best Community Support. So that's going to be Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Fall Guys, Fortnite, No Man's Sky, or Valorant. So we've got a bit of a mix here. So we've got 3 for No Man's Sky with AJ, Alex, and Cozy. Mitch has said Fortnite, and I have said Fall Guys.
Do you really think Fall Guys? Fall Guys hasn't really been community support, I guess. But
I will
really
say
good.
the Fall Guys Twitter account has been quite active.
And that's why I actually picked it, because of on the Fall Guys Twitter account, because it has been really, really solid, really active. It raised money for charity this year.
Okay.
In terms of
that's a solid reason.
Yeah, so it's more not about the support for the game itself, but the supporting the community itself. And I think it's been really active and really positive. And like I said, there's been contests. They raised, what was it? They raised like $1 million. Yeah, for charity. So I think it's I don't know. That's why I went Fall Guys. And if Fall Guys is going to win a category, it's going to be this one.
I wonder if everybody who, like, in terms of like the judges and stuff who are going to be voting for these things have that information, or if it's just the title and make your choice.
I think a lot of people will know about Fall Guys because it was getting a lot of news when they were doing that bidding war about who was going to, and when it won, there was a lot of news about that. And it was
was there a lot about that, or was that just because we were so invested in the game that we were seeing all the news about it?
No, because they were talking about it on different shows. I think people who are voting on these categories are specifically in touch with what's happening in the gaming sphere, and that was happening in the gaming sphere at the time. And I think that where, like, don't get me wrong, Destiny's had expansions, Apex Legends has had new characters and a whole new map, but it's not the same talking about it like one thing happening versus it getting tons of buzz and talk to it. So I don't know. Personally, I'm going to try and be a little bit different and put Fall Guys in there. We'll see what happens.
I think
that was my reasoning with Fortnite.
Fortnite's a safe bet, I think.
None of us are really invested in that community, but for me, picking Fortnite is, we know it's the biggest thing on the friggin' planet. So they gotta be doing something right.
Right.
Yeah. And if it doesn't get this ongoing, it'll get this.
I just think the comeback story for No Man's Sky is just too good.
Agreed.
You know, and it's in another category we'll get to very shortly, but you know, the comeback story and I have subscribed to the subreddit for that, and the outpouring of positivity. I almost said suppository. What's on my mind? The outpouring of positivity in for No Man's Sky there in general. You want to talk about a good photo mode? Fucking No Man's Sky. It's fantastic.
Don't say that, 'cause now Alex is going to go play it.
You need to go play it, Alex.
Has No Man's Sky won any awards over the course of the past couple of years since making its sort of big comeback and revamp?
I feel like it's won something for like best ongoing game or something like that before.
I feel like it won this category, or won a category last year. Yeah,
I feel like that's correct as well.
Because I feel like that actually it kind of puts a dampen, I feel, on my feelings on whether or not I think it can win again. But I believe it has been recognized for what
it's done.
I'm looking now, but you guys can continue.
Let's move on to the next best mobile game while we sort this out. So for best mobile game, we've got Among Us, Call of Duty Mobile, Genshin Impact, Legends of Runeterra, and Pokemon Cafe Mix. We're split down the line again with three of us going Among Us, with myself, Mitch, and AJ, and then Alex and Cozy choosing Genshin Impact. Alex or Cozy, any thoughts on Genshin Impact versus Among Us?
I think just as a game, Genshin Impact is kind of like, as a game on mobile, it doesn't feel like it's I don't think Among Us either, but I just feel like when people talk about Among Us, it's the PC version. I just feel like that's where it's getting all its notoriety. Yes, people do play it on the phone. I'm not denying that. But I feel like when you talk about like AOC streaming it, she was streaming it on her PC. Like, I feel like that is a PC game first, where I feel like Genshin Impact is more mobile focused.
Is it mobile though? Because it's on every console under the sun.
Yeah, I always think of Genshin Impact as a console game and less of an experience on the phone.
But do you feel, though, the fact that Genshin Impact has such a big kind of console presence might actually help it, though? Because that's what I'm thinking.
No more, I think, than the PC version of Among Us helps Among Us. Honestly, I think it is down to these two. Possible. I just think Among Us is the more popular title. So when people get to vote, it's like, oh, well, yeah, it makes Among Us more accessible to people who want to play with their friends. So we'll vote for Among Us.
I don't know.
Yep.
I think it can definitely come down to Among Us. I think this is one of those instances where a lot of people play Among Us on mobile in the same way that a lot of people play Fortnite on mobile. But I don't know how many of the people who are going to be judging what game deserves best mobile game are, really invested in Among Us on mobile as well.
Watch Call of Duty Mobile somehow win it again for the second year.
Seeing how there's no best PC game, I think just the name Among Us will do the trick, and definitely in the gaming communities that are out there, once again, that are like, because when I'm picking who's like in my mind how I'm going to score points, I'm putting myself in the minds of the people who are picking this, and they're all like people in the gaming community, and there's been nothing bigger than Among Us, among gaming circles. They're all playing it, they're all doing it, they're aware of Genshin Impact, but they're not really playing it. I think that's where my head is.
Last thing I want to say, I will say, like, I more instinctively chose Genshin Impact because my Twitter feed is such that I see, still to this day, a lot of people posting about Genshin Impact stuff. So I guess it's been a little bit more on my mind. I can totally see how if my Twitter feed was a little bit differently, it would be like, oh yeah, of course it's going to be Among Us.
So
I didn't realize this happened earlier today, but Eddie Vedder is going to be performing at the Game Awards.
it happened yesterday, actually.
No, well, they announced it today. Well, at least Pearl Jam tweeted about it today.
I think it came out yesterday.
Neat.
But Eddie Vedder will be performing at the Game Awards. Something from The Last of Us.
Yeah, a little song. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Dr. Uckman is very excited about it.
As he should be.
Okay, so best indie game. So we've got Carrion, Fall Guys, Hades, Spelunky 2, and Spiritfarer. This category is fire. Yeah. All of these games are fantastic games, and I'm gonna just put it out there. Everybody picked Hades. I think Fall Guys is going to win because Hades and Spelunky 2 are going to split the votes.
So Nathan, I want Fall Guys to win. I know Hades is going to win.
Hades will win.
Spelunky 2 is not going to split the vote. It absolutely will not. Like Spelunky 1
is going to be a landslide for Hades.
It's going to, yeah. There's Spelunky 2 kind of came out and nothing happened. It's just like, oh yeah, more Spelunky for the people who were like dedicated and diehard, and then it just went away. There are still people thirsting after all the characters in Hades, so
right.
I still gotta finish that. That's another one on my list I want to get to before the end of the year.
I wish I liked Hades more.
It's so good.
Yes.
I don't know. I understand the hook to it, and the maybe it's just me not driving with roguelikes.
Maybe.
Yeah, like I've never really found a roguelike which I loved, and I was hoping it would be Hades, and it still hasn't been Hades. And I thought with everybody talking the way they were that was going to be the game. But you know what? On this one, I'm going to go with my heart. Fall Guys has to win something, right?
Yeah, it does. It's going to be heartbreaking when it doesn't.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay, so let's keep moving because we're getting long in tooth here. So best ongoing games. So we've got Fortnite, No Man's Sky, Call of Duty Warzone, Destiny 2, and Apex Legends. We've got a mix here between No Man's Sky, Destiny 2, and Fortnite. Thoughts, guys?
I think crapshoot.
Destiny 2 has kind of been at the level it's been at consistently, where I feel like No Man's Sky, this is like the final like crescendo of the comeback story.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I still don't feel like enough people are playing it actively for it to be the best ongoing game compared to something like Destiny 2.
Well, and I think you guys are both wrong because I think Fortnite's going to take this category.
I think Fortnite takes this category of voting it happened now and not a month ago.
No, it's still been working on the Nexus, the Marvel stuff for a while. And like what it's been doing this year and talking about, I don't see how Fortnite can't win this best ongoing thing. It is still the most popular game in the world. And
I gotta be honest. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Alex.
I was just going to say, I feel like this category and best community support feel a little bit on the redundant side. I got to be honest.
A little samey.
Yeah.
I think they need a better name for best community support, which is why I went to the Twitter aspect of it. And that's why I picked Fall Guys, because it feels more like when they're talking about community support, it's actually like supporting the community, where this is this is where I would say No Man's Sky potentially would fall in, because this is actual about game changes.
Yeah.
And like how you've continued to develop the game, where I think when I look at least how I'm looking at community support, is how are they supporting the community directly? So at least that's how I took it for it. So games for impact. So for games for impact, a new category from last year, If Found, which I don't know what that is, Kentucky Route Zero, which I really want to play and haven't played, Spiritfarer, which is supposed to be great, Tell Me Why, which I should play, and it's on Game Pass on PC, and I should play that.
So is Spiritfarer, FYI.
Yes, that is as well. That's fair. And Through the Darkest of Times, once again, I don't know what that game is. I went with Tell Me Why because I have heard very positive things about this year. It looks like most of us did. AJ, you went with Spiritfarer. Any thoughts?
Did I go with Spiritfarer?
Yeah,
You did.
Oh. Yeah, no,
that's changing.
no, maybe not. Like, I've heard the most about Tell Me Why, but I've also like heard that it wasn't necessarily the most exciting. Progressive as it could have been. I've heard more stuff recently about Spiritfarer.
Okay.
Fair.
So
I think the honest truth for me is no matter how exciting the game was or how it dealt with things, I think the communities that voting on this for me are going to be awarding Tell Me Why just for it trying to bring a trans character into the game that is supported properly.
absolutely.
So anyways, games for impact, always a nice category there. So best performance. This year we've got Ashley Johnson as Ellie, Laura Bailey as Abby. I'm not going to say this right. Daisuke Suji.
Yeah,
Daisuke Suji as Jin Sakai, Logan Cunningham as Hades, and Natty Jeter as Miles Morales. What do we got going on here? So
I actually think I'm going to change mine here, but I'll let you talk first.
Okay, so we've got 3 for Laura Bailey as Abby, and that's Mitch, Alex, and AJ, although soon to not be Mitch. Cozy looking at Natty Jeter as Miles Morales, and Logan Cunningham as Hades, because I actually thought he was really good in Hades.
I thought he was wonderful, but
I mean,
I'm doing something we haven't done yet, and I'm changing my answer to something no one's picked. And even though I'd love to see Laura Bailey win, I still think Ashley Johnson takes this one as Ellie.
I'm on the fence about this one.
I vehemently disagree with you.
I know you disagree with me, which is why we're going to be upset when this gets announced. I'm going for points here. I'm not going with my heart.
She's not going to win because all she was angry. I feel like Laura Bailey had a
still going
wider
to win.
variety of emotions.
I agree with you 100%. I still think that Ellie takes it somehow.
I'm on the
Ashley
fence
Johnson's really well liked in the community. I'll say that.
I'm on the fence here.
Laura Bailey is as well.
This
Abby was
category
not.
is best performance, and best performance is of course voice work, but it's also if you are doing mocap, things that you do physically in your mocap suit. And there are a couple things that Abby, portrayed by Laura Bailey, does involving her mocap suit that are pretty iconic in The Last of Us Part 2. And I can't help but feel like that could actually really push things over for her and secure her the win. I personally, though, I'm going with Natty Jeter. Sorry, I apologize if I butchered that name. Just because I can't help but feel like because Laura Bailey is such an established name, that will work against her.
Okay. Yeah. I think it'll be interesting to see who wins here. I think this is really a toss-up, and I think there's a lot of great performances this year. Also, really glad that they don't have a separate male and female. It's nice to see them all together.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so there's no gender to it, which I appreciate. Yep. Okay, so best audio design. So for best audio design, we've got Doom Eternal, Half-Life Alyx, Ghosts of Tsushima, Resident Evil 3, and The Last of Us Part 2. I haven't played any of these games, but I've just heard about The Last of Us Part 2 and their audio design, and I feel like that's where it's going to be. Cozy and Alex have Half-Life Alyx, and Alex, you've actually played it.
Yes. I think so. It's very much Half-Life sounds, but I feel like those sounds they're like almost reinvigorated with like it being a new generation, with it being in VR, that it being 3D audio instead of just kind of the stereo audio that we got with the other Half-Life games. I think I'm going to change my mind and choose The Last of Us Part 2 because I specifically remember something that Steve Saylor told me when I was filming my doc, that the reason the sound design is as fantastic as it is in The Last of Us Part 2 is because people who can't see needed to be able to hear that game, and so that is why that game sounds like it does. So if someone wouldn't mind changing my answer to The Last of Us Part 2.
I'll change it.
The Last of Us is a shoe-in for that, exactly that reason. The accessibility aspects of the sound design is what puts it over the top of anything else that's come out this year.
Okay. I agree, but I will stay with Half-Life Alyx just to be the combo breaker.
Fair enough.
Sweet.
Combo breaker.
You got to earn points, you know, and sometimes it means playing dirty.
That's what this next category.
Best score in music. So we've got The Last of Us Part 2, Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, and Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
This is a hard one.
This is all over the place. I think for the song that is in The Last of Us Part 2 and the fact that Eddie Vedder is coming to perform it, it will win.
No.
For the best score music.
I disagree.
Death Stranding did not win last year, and they had churches play the Death Stranding game.
That's true.
Do not misperse the name of Churches, okay? We get it right in this house.
What?
There's a V instead of a U in the name Churches.
I don't think that's how they say it, though.
I say it Churches, so.
I'm also a millennial, so. Or not a millennial, I'm a Gen Z.
You know what's hip and with it, whereas
I'm a millennial.
Yay, millennial!
Ooh, got you on that technicality, Nathan.
That's true.
Yep. I was born right in the first year to be a millennial.
The composition, the soundtrack, the score of Final Fantasy VII it brings tears to my eyes when I listen to it because it evokes what you felt from the game. I can listen to Future Days and it's just Future Days. Honestly, I was not as emotionally attached to that game as I thought I would be. And I feel like the soundtrack and score of Final Fantasy VII resonates with me. And I think it will resonate with the audience more so than The Last of Us Part 2, even though I think it's sweet every category left.
Yeah, but you're also dumb, so.
All I'm going to say is that Persona 5 Royal is a glaring omission from this.
It 100% is. There's no question about that.
I think it's honestly a toss-up between Final Fantasy VII Remake and Doom Eternal. But I also think Hades, because Darren Korb makes really fucking good ass music. So I feel like this could go anywhere. But all I will say is the DLC for Doom Eternal was severely lacking Mick Gordon, and I think that is why Doom Eternal is going to do it, because Doom is so defined by its soundtrack.
So, all right, let's move on to keep this clip going. Best art direction. So for best art direction, we've got Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and The Last of Us Part 2. I think there's a few really strong contenders here. We've got 2 for Final Fantasy VII Remake with Cozy and AJ, Alex with Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and then Mitch and I both saying Hades. Personally, I think Hades is taking it just because of the character designs in those games, because I think they're fantastic. And some of those girls are really thirsty.
Some of those dudes are very thirsty.
Oh, yeah, dudes are very thirsty as well. There's some very thirsty people about Hades.
Hades, but I feel like basically any game in this category could take it. What Ghost of Tsushima does with color is phenomenal. Final Fantasy VII Remake is the one to me. Is like, is it though?
My argument for voting for Final Fantasy VII Remake is just the way in which 7 adapts the designs and look of the city that you're journeying inside of from the way it looked in the original Final Fantasy VII. The way that it updated Aerith, Tifa's designs, so on and so forth, and made it feel kind of wholly fresh and updated and, good looking by the standards of a 2020 game.
So,
fair.
All right.
Yeah, this can go anywhere.
Yeah, I think this is a toss-up and could end up with anybody. And I think really, I don't think there's a disappointing one for that.
The rest categories I don't see as a toss-up at all.
Yeah, so best narrative. So we've got 13 Sentinels, AJ's Rim, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, and The Last of Us Part 2. I actually went with Final Fantasy VII Remake, having played partial of that, but everybody else picked The Last of Us Part 2. Am I an idiot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
think
that's
really?
not because of this.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. Excellent.
I mean, Final Fantasy VII Remake definitely has one of the more coherent Final Fantasy plots in the series, but I feel like it's going to be tough to overcome The Last of Us Part 2.
I think if any game were to overcome The Last of Us Part 2, for me, honestly, it's Ghost of Tsushima. I think the narrative they told there was really good, really fresh. Yeah. But that being said, The Last of Us Part 2 absolutely runs away with this.
I'm switching my vote.
All right.
Wow.
Go me.
Fair enough.
Clean sleep.
All right. Best game direction. So we've got Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Half-Life Alyx, and The Last of Us Part 2. Everybody picked Half-Life. Oh, no. No, that's not true at all, actually. Sorry. 3 people picked The Last of Us Part 2 in AJ, Alex, and Mitch. Cozy has picked Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I have picked Ghost of Tsushima. This is where I see Ghost winning personally, because I think from what I've seen, the direction of Tsushima just looks amazing. And the way they made that world. So I don't know, but I think this is a toss-up between these 3.
Co-directors on Ghost of Tsushima?
Yes. Jin Sakai.
It's Nate Fox.
And that's why Neil Druckmann takes this one.
Oh, Nate Fox and Andrew Goldfarb.
Yeah, Andrew Goldfarb, definitely.
The thing about this category is that like game direction covers such like a broad swath of different kinds of design choices, right? Like for example, in the case of God of War 2018, we would argue, well, the fact that the camera is never cutting, that's like an example of good game direction. With this instance, and like I can totally see how you would completely disagree on this point, but like I think that an example of The Last of Us Part 2's direction that I did not think was very effective and that I consider to be direction is just how long and how drawn out that game is. And I realize that like this is an opinion not shared by that many other people, but like I thought it was really to that game's detriment, and so that's why I'm handing Final Fantasy VII Remake the nod instead of Part 2.
Okay,
that's fair.
All right, so let's move on. So we're going to come back to Game of the Year category. Surprise announcements. So these are, what do we say, 5 points?
Yeah.
Yes.
If we get a surprise announcement correct here. So number up, we have AJ, and he's got the Halo Infinite FIDOC update. I don't know what that means.
A video documentary update on the status of Halo Infinite presented at the Game Awards.
I already say we're not seeing anything this year. It doesn't matter. We can move on.
I don't know. We'll see. I'd be surprised.
3-hour podcast.
Hey, they happen sometimes.
I'll risk it for the biscuit.
Alex, you've got God of War Ragnarok tease. I think that's possibly likely.
It's supposed to come out next year. We haven't seen anything besides the logo.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Cozy, the first tease of Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2.
Yeah, I mean, they have been upfront about the fact that COVID disrupted the speed at which they were working on the second saga of the Final Fantasy VII Remake series, but I think it's coming sooner rather than later, and I think now's a good time to tease it, especially with the original Final Fantasy VII Remake having so many noms at this year's Game Awards.
Mitch, you have chosen new Pokemon Snap release date.
Yes, and let me say one thing. All of y'all in here with your update, teaser, like concrete surprise announcements. Come on, these are so vague that one of them is bound to be right. At least I said something concrete, and that we will get a actual release date on a game that we know is going to come out next year.
But that's the whole point about the Game Awards, is that they are just teasers and trailers for
you're being
games that
so,
are
honestly, Mitch, I think you're being really conservative here because we know that Pokemon Snap exists. Yeah. I guess we know Ragnarok exists too. And
right, but Nintendo typically doesn't do stuff at the Game Awards like this.
Well, they've done other stuff.
Like Joker.
The Pokemon company has never shown something new at the Game Awards. They save that for their own thing.
Breath of the Wild?
Yeah, I think Breath of the Wild was there.
The Pokemon company has never.
There it is. Pokemon Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. So, for me, I don't think we're seeing Metroid Prime 4 anytime soon, but I think next year they will have a studio working on a new 2D Metroid coming out in 2021 to
M2.
satiate people.
We'll see.
Justin Doss, friend of the show, actually tweeted out and said, "You're wrong, Nathan, and that we will see some update on Metroid Prime 4 at the Game Awards. So we will see who is actually right. If you want to contribute to the show, go follow us on Twitter."
That's true. And then Super Smash Brothers Ultimate announcement character, because it's overdue for a new character in Smash Brothers Ultimate. There's no questions about that. Who do we have here? So AJ, you got Master Chief. Alex, you have Master Chief. Cozy has Doomslayer. Mitch has Ratchet and Clank, and as much as I want that, Mitch, that's never going to happen.
Heck yeah, bud.
I would want nothing more than Ratchet and Clank to be in there. That's not
I put
happen.
Master Chief and then realized two y'all motherfuckers also put Master Chief, so I had to change it to try to get some points.
I think Crash Bandicoot. I think Crash Bandicoot's going to be in the game, and I think this is the time to announce it. After we've had the successful Crash 4, it's about time to announcement.
I feel like, and plus Crash has had multiple appearances at the Game Awards.
What if they go,
and
what if they go just to the opposite of that and just pull in Spyro instead?
Well,
Crash
then
would be first.
It wouldn't be as fun.
Yeah, I think I don't like Crash games, but I think Crash is the better character for Smash.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So
my only thing with Master Chief is like why he might not get picked is just because there's already two Microsoft characters between Banjo and Minecraft Steve.
Yeah.
Cuphead is there as a Mii fighter skin as well.
Yeah.
So, although that could just mean the door's open for those conversations.
It's also
true. That's why I went out of left field with a Sony pick, because Sony's going to have to get a skin in the game at some point. We see them branching out with Fortnite.
It'll be that cat if they ever do it. Those two cats that they really like.
Isn't Ratchet a cat?
Something.
Yeah, the ones that were in the
PlayStation All-Stars.
PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale.
Aren't Lombaxes like cat-like?
I don't know. Is that a real animal like a bandicoot?
No, this is an alien creature.
It's like Otzels from
real.
Jack and Daxter, where it's like an animal that kind of seems real, but it's not.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, and then finally, Game of the Year. So this is going to be the final one. Should we have more points awarded to Game of the Year, or just keep it at 1?
I mean, the fact that we kind of... never mind. Somebody changed. Oh no! Wait. Okay, I thought we were more consistent. Never mind.
Yeah,
I mean, we are consistent between 1 and 2 titles, but I could change the math on that.
I'm just wondering because this is the penultimate category. If it's the mass hard to change,
I wouldn't say it's penultimate.
Oh no, you're right. It's the final category.
Well, let's read the nominees.
Yeah, so let's go through the nominees here. So we've got Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Animal Crossing New Horizons, and The Last of Us Part 2. So Mitch, Alex, and AJ have all picked The Last of Us Part 2. Cozy and I have picked Animal Crossing New Horizons, which up until this point has only been picked in one other category by really anybody. I think personally, this is Animal Crossing's year of just being Animal Crossing. It's dominated the year.
It dominated
your year.
It dominated the spring. Everywhere you look, like people are like kind of like they're playing it casually, but they're not into it like they were.
So I still hear people talking about it, though. I don't hear people talking about playing The Last of Us still.
But I think that's just because there are different types of games.
There's completely different types of games. I think
one is an ongoing game, and one is The Last of Us, which is a masterpiece and is very, very much likely to win numerous Game of the Year's awards, this one included.
I think The Last of Us Part 2 will win. I think that's just like, especially with the people who would be voting for the Game Awards. I do want to say there's two very glaring omissions, or there's a lot of glaring omissions from the nominees. How the fuck is Half-Life Alyx not nominated for this?
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's absurd. Yeah. Like, out of all the other games that came out this year, I think Half-Life Alyx is better than Ghost of Tsushima. I think it's better than Hades. I think it's better than Doom Eternal.
I just think nobody played it. I think that's the problem, and that's why it didn't get nominated.
Persona 5 Royal also needed to be nominated here.
Yeah.
Fall Guys needed to be nominated here, and I'm going to go as far as saying Among Us should have been nominated here.
Yep.
So it's pretty safe
Flight
to say
Simulator.
that, like, the reason why we're split on The Last of Us Part 2 and Animal Crossing New Horizons are because both these games are about as far away as possible as you could place two different games. Of the rest of the nominees that we have not selected, which one or which ones do you think have the best shot of potentially disrupting our predictions?
Ghost or Hades?
Ghost.
Yeah, Hades.
I think Hades
People are thirsty over Hades.
Hades is like the ultimate underdog in this category. This is like one of these things is not like the other.
It's the underdog, yes, but I would also say Animal Crossing's an underdog here as well, because like Nintendo games.
I don't think it's
Nintendo had nothing this year other than Animal Crossing and shout out to Clubhouse games.
Doom Eternal is the underdog.
Oh, yeah, Clubhouse.
Because everybody's like, why is Doom Eternal on this list?
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. Like everybody's just like, how did Doom Eternal but not Half-Life Alyx get on there, right? So
yeah. Like, and Alex, I know you love Doom Eternal, but I don't know. That's a prevailing.
No, I even said I think Half-Life Alyx is better than Doom Eternal.
So I think there's an argument that they should be expanding this category. That being said, I feel like that's an argument we should have another time, maybe when we're going over results, because we've run super long today.
Yeah.
Super duper long. Super duper long
for a super duper sized edition of our podcast. So I'm just going to go right to the outro. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Press YYZ. If you enjoyed what you just heard, be sure to check us on Twitch, rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, and follow us on our Twitter account at Press YYZ, which will keep you up to date on when we go live and post new episodes. And of course, you can find the rest of the crew on social media. Alex.
You can find me on Instagram at blatantly_Alex, and you can see all of my Cyberpunk 2077 screenshots that I'm inevitably going to take at blatantly_Alex on Twitter.
Remind me to unfollow you before that.
Cozy. Motherfucker, you have notifications turned on for me.
You can find me on Twitter at Alex Kazina. Go check that out, see what I'm up to.
AJ.
You can find me all over the internet at Times Hero, capital T, capital H. I didn't bring it up on this episode, but if next week isn't completely dominated by Cyberpunk, I will probably talk about Empire of Sin a little bit, because I just picked that up today and got through the tutorial. It looks neat, so yeah, tune in next week.
Sweet. Mitch?
Everywhere on the internet at Mr. Mitch George.
Perfect. And you can follow me at _NMac on both Twitter and Instagram. Once again, if you have Instagram ideas for me, please let me know, because I'm an old man. I don't know how to do these things. Also, check out my reviews at ps4blog.net, where my Sackboy review has gone live, a few days ago.
It's up. It's up.
If you're listening to this longer ago. Other than that, until next time, thanks for playing.
Take care, guys.
Yeehaw.